person, and they love this show. Thank you, LexCorp.
I forgot my headphones.
Oh, no. Run.
I can make it. Ooh, let's go. Let's go.
Good morning. Good morning.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Good morning.
All right. I'm back.
Well, I wasn't going to talk. I mean, you know, I just, I let the kid talk for me.
Good morning.
Why is the office so far away, man?
It's like
Running a damn marathon.
it's the closest office in the building to this studio.
I forgot. I because I am a professional. I forgot my headset. Forgot my cans.
You also forgot that menial tasks such as that are put aside for the producer to do, with eyes down, looking at the ground as you go and get the headphones for the host. That's what you should have done.
I forgot my cans, and as the intro bumps, I'm like, this is a lot quieter than it. Oh, I'm not wearing headphones. I guess I gotta go get them. So I took off, and I mean, like a Division I athlete.
Yeah, why are you so out of breath, Division I athlete? You could have speed walked down there.
I'm surprised that the fire alarm's not going off from the smoke I was leaving behind me. Getting from here. Alarm.
You did say it. I know you probably think you didn't, but you did.
Alarm. I sprint over to the Fortress of Nerditude. I sprint back. I Bruce Lee through the door. The running one-legged high kick through the door. I get to the mic and I realize I've just run half a marathon right there, man. Yeah, maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. It is Friday, baby.
Do you need some water?
Water? No, I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I'm good now. You know, you just I need one of the got the Darth Vader sideline oxygen tank going.
You mean like the fat guy who just ran for a touchdown? You mean that kind of oxygen?
Yeah, that's the one. You know what? James Harrison needed it, and he ran a 99-yard INT back for a tutty and hit the gas tank immediately. If James Harrison needs oxygen, I think it's okay that I do too. It's like,
if you're listening right now, James Harrison, I'm not disparaging you.
That's not disparagement. That's what he did.
Okay, all right.
He laid in the end zone for like 12 minutes after his touchdown. And then he, I don't know why we're talking about an INT from a Super Bowl that was a decade ago.
Because James Harrison could be around here somewhere.
Maybe.
No, really. He could be around here somewhere. So
maybe. I know he's a fan. I know he listens every day. So that makes sense.
I think he lives in the area.
My dude needed a gas tank after it was over. So do I. So I don't feel about it. Because listen, what he did in that Super Bowl and what I just did to make it from this chair to the Fortress of Nerditude, grab the cans, get back to this chair, and almost make it to where you guys never would have known was elite athleticism, peak athleticism.
Unless, of course, you were watching on the stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or X, and then you would have seen that his side of the board was empty. I mean, you could have seen that.
I like to make a fashionable debut. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show. It is the Friday edition, and we are glad to have you guys with us on the radio broadcast today. What a day we have lined up today. I think more so than the rest of this week previous is going to give you guys a little bit better indication for those of you that are maybe joining us for the first time in our first off season, our first football off season. I've said to you many times, there ain't no off seasons on the Rob Brown Show. Today, you're going to get probably your best taste of that to date, because we got everything today. We got golf today, the Genesis Invitational. El Tigre out on the course yesterday, and despite the 4 days of talk leading up about how Tiger felt great, he was good to go, and he talked a lot of people into dropping a little bit of coin on him as a potential Genesis winner, as he is. This is one of the very few tournaments on the air that he has not yet won.
Not you, right?
No, not me.
Okay.
I did not bet Tiger.
Okay.
I wasn't going to bet Tiger. Tiger carded a plus 172 in the opening day.
So you're saying
More
you could do that?
importantly,
You could do that. You could
No,
do
not
that
at all.
possible. Okay,
but
all right.
he's not playing me. He's playing a lot of other much better golfers.
So he's under the cut line now, right?
Well, it's only Thursday, so he's got a full day left to go.
So I'm right. He's under the cut
but
line.
the problem is what I was about to say next, which is the fact that his back locked up on like 14, and he dropped most of his. If these lights don't start flickering like we're about to get murdered in a Halloween movie, it's going to drive me up a wall.
I think it's just one of these. I think it's just one of these. I mean, we could turn them completely off, and we could do Rob Brown After Dark, but
Tiger Woods, y'all. I can't do it right. I can't do it right now.
Ooh, that's not good for you for this weekend if you're struggling with that.
Y'all.
Can you still hit the high notes though?
No, not right now. It's not because of me. It's because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not gonna lie. It's been a rough AM for your boys so far. Tiger Woods back locked up late in the opening round of the Genesis Invitational. He is far from out of the mix, but he's also not very much in it. So we'll talk about that later in the show. The NASCAR duels took place last night at Daytona International Speedway. And would you look at who is starting 21st in the field for the Daytona 500? It is seven-time NASCAR Cup champion Jimmie Johnson made it in. He had to race in after qualifying, and he did it last night.
I thought he retired.
He did, except for this race. He will be back. Do you imagine if football was like that? It's like Tom Brady retired, except for he's coming back to play for the Super Bowl. NASCAR will see.
He wouldn't try that. He would definitely try that.
He might.
Punk.
7 times going to be in the field. We also know that we've got our field laid out. We know our starting grid, and we will run over that, as well as your NASCAR Cup Championship odds later on in the day, and we'll take a look at how they stack up and who's got a chance. Can Ryan Blaney defend, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to be talking NASCAR later on in the show, y'all. I'm allowed to do that because I'm a big NASCAR guy. As a matter of fact, on Sunday, already blocked off Sunday afternoon, I said, fellas, I will help you load in and set up equipment until about 3 p.m., and then you'll lose me till about 6:30 because it's NASCAR Sunday. Can't wait. Can't wait. So we'll talk some NASCAR later on in the show. We got to get to some NBA. The All-Star break is upon us. The NBA's All-Star game taking place this weekend, as are all of the other festivities. And we'll talk about those later on in the show. By the way, Jason Tatum going to be in the dunk contest. We have an actual all-star competing in the dunk contest this year. So that's dope. Pretty jazzed about that. I'll be pulling for Jason just because he's the only guy on an all-star team competing in the dunk contest. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show. I look forward to it. We are going to get into what else? We got to get some hockey in here. Hayden S. Mario is going to join us at 8 o'clock this morning. Scratch that. At 9 o'clock. He asked me to move. 9 o'clock, we will have the Hayden Ass one join us. He will talk some NBA with us as we head into the deadline. Looking forward to that. And who else? What else? Who knows what else we're going to get into on the show this beautiful day. Texas said probably not going to race Sunday because of the rain. Oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I mean, that's fine if they postpone it to Monday. No, it's not. I'll be driving back. That's not fine. That's not fine. It will ruin my day. I will be stopped at a roadside bar somewhere in Atlanta watching NASCAR if that happens. Let's see. Weather forecast been monitored by NASCAR. Forecast changed a bit. Put an umbrella on some. Oh, man. That makes me sad. Thursday's updated forecast models call for a 70% chance of daytime showers on Saturday, increasing to a 90% chance of rain Saturday night into Sunday morning. For the 2:30 p.m. Sunday running of the Daytona 500, rain chances have dropped from 70% down to 50%. Okay, Texter, we got a chance.
Yeah, it's because Dwayne's going to be there and he's bringing the rain clouds with him.
If you smell rain, can you smell rain?
Absolutely. You can't smell rain? Yeah, you can smell rain.
I can't smell rain.
Okay, well that's
It's been a thing between
Yeah.
me and my family for like a hot minute. Is the Madre be like, "Oh, smell rain"? I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
yeah. Since I was a little kid, I've always been able to smell rain.
Can any of y'all smell rain? I can't smell rain. I get the Courtney's the same way. The fiance's the same way. She's like, smells like it's gonna rain. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you okay? Are you having a medical issue right now? I mean, smell rain.
I think it's kind of like, I guess you're kind of like your nose is colorblind or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know.
I think it's more weird that you can't than it is that everyone, all the people surrounding you can.
Let's see. According to, I'm looking this up. Yes, you can smell rain. The smell of rain is called petrichor. It's a distinctive earthy odor that's caused by rain, ozone, geosmin, and plant oils. It's a term coined by Australian scientists in 1964, coming from the ancient Greek words for blood of stones. That's metal.
Very much so.
Some people can smell rain coming well before it starts. This is because they have a sensitive nose that can detect ozone, petrichor, and I'm guessing I'm smelling geosmin. It's a distinctive earthy or musty odor that's secreted by soil-dwelling bacteria when they produce spores. Creatures from across the animal kingdom, including humans, are highly attuned to the distinctive waft of geosmin. I can't smell rain. So I don't know. I don't know why we're talking about this, but it brought up.
Well, it is pretty cool. I mean, to people who can smell it, to the people who can't, I guess, I can't. They just described it to you.
No, listen, I am not suggesting that
You're
you
jealous?
can't.
I mean,
I don't know if I am or not. It's just, it's a weird concept to me. Like and I understand it's not the same thing, but like, I don't smell water. It smells salt in the water. Maybe whatever this compound in, this petrichor and geosmin, which are now words I'm never going to forget, but will also never utilize again in my life until at some point somebody else says this and I get to go, well, actually, I know why you can smell the rain.
All I can say is,
I read it on a computer.
Yeah, you're a Save the Earth guy and you can't even smell the rain.
I'm not in touch with Mother Gaia, dude.
Fake.
Texas said, I smell rain, and it also has a different smell when there's going to be wintry weather.
But there is, for sure.
I got nothing, man. I wish I could. I wish I could smell rain. Then maybe
You
I
know
know if
what?
the NASCAR race is going to go on Sunday.
I wish I couldn't smell rain because my smeller is very sensitive.
Got a Dewey Cox reference on the stream. Beautiful job, Trey.
I saw it, but I've never seen the movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
He's so hit or miss for me. So
I don't disagree. That was a hit. That movie was very, very good. All right. Listen, it's Friday. I don't know what you want. You've listened to the show before. It's going to be weird. We're going to get a lot of sports stuff in. We're also going to talk about smelling rain and the legend of Dewey Cox. It's what it is. Okay. It's Friday. It is what it is. Caitlin freaking Clark last night. Not just set the record. She needed 8 points to do it. She shattered the record last night, got to 41 points last night. It took her less than 2.5-ish minutes. Well, I'll just say less than 3 because I think it was like 2:37 or something. Took her less than 3 minutes to score the 8 points that she needed to score yesterday evening. She took a layup off the tip. Couple of possessions later, knocked down a corner three. And then a few minutes later, got another 3 from the left-hand side. This one about 7 feet behind the arc. That gave her the total she needed to get to the number. And then she was not done. She kept going. 41. It was the, I believe, 5th game that she has scored 40 or more in her career. And here is what's very interesting about it. She got 41. She's averaging north of 31 at this point of the season. She needs 99 to break Pistol Pete Maravich's record of all-time points in the NCAA. Now, there's an interesting caveat to that. You're going to hear other people say it, so I might as well give it to you now. Pistol Pete played at a time when freshmen were not given access to the basketball program. So Pistol Pete did it in 83 games over two or three seasons, whereas Caitlin Clark's obviously going to have like 140 games to get to that point. Regardless of number of games, Caitlin Clark needs 99 to take over the throne as the most prolific scorer of the basketball in the history of the NCAA. We're going to talk about that later. And where on the scale of impressive, where does that rank to you? So let's take a break. Let's come back here in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about the Hawkeye legend that is Caitlin Clark. I was on BetMGM tonight. We talked about it a little bit. We're going to talk about it a little more today. We got some NFL later in the show. We got some NBA. We got some NCAA basketball as we got a big weekend lined up in college shooty hoops as we move ever closer to March Madness. It's going to be busy today, y'all. My name is Rob Brown, the Great with Lonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I got a live read right here. Do me a favor. Stay right there. We'll come right back. the fan upstate, Rob Alonso, and you on, early upstate Friday morning.
You're not excited? I mean, I feel pretty decent compared to what I've felt like in the last 2 months, and that's just making me excited about Friday. And for us, we get an extra day off this week.
I'm excited in that we are on the radio and it's my job,
And
so
you-
I'm excited every day.
you
And
go-
I'm
You get to jam this
I
weekend,
do,
dude.
and I'm excited about jamming on Sunday.
I mean, I hope you don't go on stage like that.
it's not.
I'm just glad to be here.
It's not that.
And
What it is that
you
I
are not
have-
ready to rock right now.
What it is that I have a 8-hour drive ahead of me today. A. B. That 8-hour drive does not start until 7:00 tonight because my drummer now lives in Charlotte and we're riding together. We're saving the planet.
So you're not driving alone.
I'm not driving alone, but it's not.
You get to hang with your bro. You get to have some wonderful conversation.
It's an 8-hour drive, dog.
So
It's you can spice it up however you want. It's an 8-hour drive. And because it is, I would ordinarily fly, but because it's band equipment stuff, I can't. So I got an 8-hour drive that does not start until 7 p.m. this evening because he works in Charlotte. He's got to get off of work and then drive to Greenville to meet me, and then we're driving down. 8-hour drive, which puts me in Florida sometime around 3 a.m. I'm going to catch about 4 hours of sleep. Then I got to wake up because I am going to my nephew's Mighty Mouse basketball game tomorrow morning. Then I got the show tomorrow night.
Sweet.
Yeah, all of these things are good things. I just recognize that. Oh, and by the way, when we get off the air here, I've got a meeting at 11:30. I've got another one at 2. Then I've got I've got an interview with the BetQL folks, which again, all of these things are great. But it's just a lot. It's just a lot of things. It's a first world problem.
All
I
right.
acknowledge that.
So we get you're a superstar. Thank you for bragging.
For sure.
I mean, because that's
For
that's
sure.
what you're doing. You're bragging about being a superstar. Good for you.
No, it's not bragging. It's just there's a lot. I don't think you people understand how exhausting it is to be me. All right. But I do it for you. I do it for the imagine if I was serious. All right.
Yeah, you people out there who are, cutting lawns and digging ditches
I know.
and all that kind of stuff. You have no idea what the grind Rob is going through right
It's
now.
exhausting. It's exhausting to be me. I got to get up. I got to sit in this chair for 4 hours talking about sports and getting paid for it. I leave here. I got to go talk to people who want to give me money to just be around. It's tough to be me, man. And yet I work. I get up and I do it every day. I am an American hero is what I am. I am a hero to the masses. And I know it. Last night, America.
He partially believes that. I mean, look at him. That's just the happiest he's been when he said that, right?
My
there.
job's good, dude. My life's good.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to sit here and lie to you and say my life's not awesome. It is.
I was going to say
My life's awesome.
everything you described is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you got a long drive.
I mean,
but-
I'm being a smartass, but none of it's it's all awesome.
and you've talked about, how cool your drummer is, so you get to spend some quality time with him. It ain't like you're going to drive. Are you going to drive straight or are you going to stop somewhere?
Oh, we'll probably stop about halfway. We have we have discussed making a pit stop since it will be nighttime when we get there. We have discussed a pit stop at Magic City in the ATL to pick up some lemon pepper wings. I have talked about it, and yet all the time that I've lived here, all the times I've driven back through the dirty,
Is
all the times I've been in the
is she
dirty
aware?
bird city,
Is she aware?
she don't
of-
care.
Okay.
She don't care.
All right.
We have discussed the Magic City spot. I've driven by it 100 times, never stopped.
Yeah, but there's a reason why. When we discussed this when it was going on, when you found out how much cover charge is and all that stuff just to get in and parking and stuff to get in
Yeah,
to get
I
the
gotta
wings.
tell you, it's like
You don't-
$45 to get in the door.
You don't
but
remember that discussion?
No, I do. It's like
Okay.
$45 to get in the door, but still the amount of when you've got NBA players telling you that out of 30 NBA cities, the best wings, and it's like consensus or Magic City in the ATL, I feel like that's worth it.
If they're actually talking about chicken wings.
They are. I know.
Yeah.
I've Joey B has been there. I know this. Like it is legitimately.
Maybe he's down with the lingo too. I mean,
It's not a
you know,
lingo. Dude, trust me on this. It's not a
Okay.
lingo. This place is
All right.
known for its wings.
I can't trust you because you ain't had it yet.
I have it. You don't have to trust me that it's known for the
Oh,
wings.
okay, all right.
So we have discussed potentially a Magic City pop on the way by. We'll see. We'll see. It doesn't stop it from being 8 hours. All right, listen, we got to get to the sports.
Do you?
Yes, it's a sports show. We do have to get to the sports. Last night, 8 p.m. on the dot, Rob Brown dropped everything and he turned on Peacock because Caitlin Clark was playing. The Oyoa Hawkeyes were getting at it last night. They were at the Hizzle against Michigan, and Caitlin Clark needed 8 points. And I'll tell you what, I'm real glad that I chimed in at 8 p.m. because, there's a lot of times where if somebody's going for a record or a team's going for a this or a dude's going for a that or a chick's going for a that, hey, you're like, all right, it's 8 o'clock. All right, it's 8:02. Let me go ahead and get settled in. Caitlin Clark took less than 3 minutes last night to get the 8 points she needed to become the NCAA's all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball.
You're welcome. She heard me talking about her sandbagging yesterday, and then I thought it was for money, and she's like, okay.
Yeah, take your damn tinfoil hat off, Lonzo.
Yeah, and then she's like, I'll just get this out of the way so he'll shut up.
She did. She did real fast, man. She did real quick. Caitlin Clark took less than 3 minutes to get it done. She opened with a layup off the tip. Couple of possessions later, knocked down a three from the left-hand side. Shortly after that, did it again, but from about 9 feet behind the arc, and that was the dagger. Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time leading scorer in NCAA women's college basketball. So I was on BetMGM tonight last night, and we brought this up. We discussed it off the air, but we discussed it with Ryan Horvat, Nick Ashush, the host of that show. Phenomenal show. Airs right here on the Fan Upstate at 7 p.m. And we were talking in the green room before the interview started about this. And I asked them the question that I've asked you guys, that I've asked Cody Decker, I've asked so many people, mainly because I find the conversation very interesting. I said, fellas, Is Caitlin Clark the face of college basketball right now? And Horvat went, yeah, I think he is, or I think she is. I think she is. I said, really? Think about it. Like, there are dudes, players we know. We know Armando Bacot and RJ Davis. We know these guys. There's a couple of players we are aware of. PJ Walker at Clemson. There are guys that are making noise nationally for sure. But does anybody stand head and shoulders above the club? And there have been guys in the past that have. There's been those players that are just head and shoulders above everybody else in men's basketball that are, they're in that elite caliber. They're up towards the top. Caitlin Clark, to me right now, Caitlin Clark's it. Caitlin Clark's the only one in the sport, in basketball as a whole. She's the only one that is very clearly separated herself from everybody else. 3,569 points, the all-time Division I women's basketball scoring champ. And oh, by the way, if you are keeping track, she's 99 shy of Pistol Pete Maravich for the all-time leading scorer on both sides. She's getting that this year. We've been dialed in on Kelsey Plum and the record that Caitlin Clark took down. A record, by the way, that's only, I think 4 years old was Kelsey Plum's record, and Caitlin Clark got it. She's got a line to Pistol Pete now to become the all-time leading scorer just in college basketball. Just in college basketball. That's incredible, man. That's incredible. What an absolute line for Caitlin Clark. And to see that gym last night, not just sold out, not just packed to the gills because of Caitlin Clark, but to see that gym lose its mind like it did last night when she put up a three legitimately 7 feet outside of the arc and drop it. Man, it was cool to see. It was cool to see. I had a guy last night when we were talking about this who was like, I'm tired of her, dude. Like, I'm tired of the attitude. I'm tired. Bro, when you have that game, you can have a little bit of tude. You can have a little bit of ego. Kobe had an ego. Mike had an ego. Shaq had an ego. All these guys have it. In fact, I would go so far as to say you kind of have to, right? Especially in basketball, maybe more than any other sport. Basketball is a sport that smack talk is a foundation of it. It just is. You don't have to like it. But basketball is a game that smack talk is at its foundation. So I like it. I think she's fantastic. I think she's done an incredible job. It's not even that Caitlin Clark brings attention and passion and energy to women's basketball. She just brings it to basketball, just to the sport itself. And I think that's good for everybody. Last night, it looked like Iowa was playing in a Final Four contest. And it's been like that just about every game for the Hawkeyes this year. But last night, when she came off the pick early and hit a three from the top left, and then later on knocked down a running dagger from 8 out, that place looked like Iowa was winning a Final Four game en route to a semifinal. And I loved to see it. It was an electric atmosphere. I watched that game last night. I watched 2 of the NBA games, including the Grizz knocking off the Bucks at home, which was shocking, by the way. And oh, by the way, real quick, as a 2-second aside, Gigi Jackson's kind of a dog, y'all. Kind of a dog. Got his 2-way contract with the Grizz. Was out there last night balling it up. The kid's a dog. Anyway, so I'm watching Caitlin Clark. She hits that 3. Twitter explodes. Facebook explodes. That gym exploded. Like I am glad to see we're at a point where we're just celebrating elite athletes doing elite things. And it wasn't really even a like a point of contention last night. I know in years gone by, there's been spots where somebody on the WNBA level or the women's college game level do something, and Twitter loves to immediately rush to like, oh yeah, there's high school guys that could, all right, cool, whatever, dude. Like, it's a different game. It's the same game, but it's a different game. And this game's been played for a very long time, and Caitlin Clark is doing it as well, if not better than anybody else right now. It's pretty spectacular to watch. So anyway, Texas said she will not break Pistol's record because it is comparing apples to oranges. Pistol had no 3-point line. Pistol was not allowed by NCAA rules his freshman years. She may claim modern record, but not all time. Again, it's fair. It's fair. I will also, I'll even help you out, Texter. Pistol Pete also did it in about, 60% of the games that Caitlin Clark did it. I don't have any issue. The reality is this. It's a technical truth. Caitlin Clark will break the all-time record. In that, she will have more points than anyone else has ever had in all time that college basketball has been played. Now, you can make the argument that, yeah, that's true, but also it's different because she had the 3-point line. Pistol Pete did not. She's been allowed to have a 4-year career. Pistol Pete was not. Pistol Pete did it in 60% of the games. These are all facts as well. The only thing I'm not gonna give you is you can't say Caitlin Clark's not elite. She is an elite all-time talent. That game was fun to watch last night. It was fun to watch her ball. It was fun to watch her go off. I don't know what else to tell you. Last night it was fun to be a sports fan. I don't think I can give Caitlin Clark a better compliment than that. Last night, it was fun to be a sports fan. I didn't have to sit there. I wasn't there with the tablet of truth in hand, diagramming and Xing and Oing as me, a master's degree holder in knowing ball, loves to do. I just was a sports fan. I just was a sports fan. I just got to sit there and enjoy an elite all-time athlete doing elite all-time athlete things and hitting an elite all-time milestone. Texas said 4,500 points had Pete had a 4-season at LSU or had the 3-point line been in play at the time. It's been estimated that he would have put up over 4,500 points. The number so mind-boggling as to be almost unbelievable. Listen, I am a big Pistol Pete guy. I'm from Louisiana. Pistol Pete played his college ball at LSU. When I was a kid, I've told you this story before, my first word was basketball. My mom hates it. It's because of my Uncle Mike. When I was in elementary school, my Uncle Mike gave me, you young kids, you'll have to bear with me here, VHS tapes of Pistol Pete Maravich doing a dribbling clinic.
Wow.
Yeah. VHS of Pistol Pete doing a dribbling clinic. I probably watched that tape 1,000 times.
Did it help?
Dramatically. 100%. There were two things my Uncle Mike did that I feel like made me a decent basketball player. The Pistol Pete tape and the George Mikan drill. I practiced all the way to the time I graduated high school. Mikan drill started and ended every practice. Pistol Pete Maravich is a legend. He is a hero of mine. One of probably in my lifetime 5 players whose jersey I own that did not play for a team that I like. Jordan's one. Nowitzki is one. Maravich is one. Bird is one. I'm trying to think. There's probably one more. Point is, love Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete being what Pistol Pete was when Pistol Pete was it does not diminish what Caitlin Clark is, has been, was, and continues to be. All right, we got to run to a break. I got a lot of stuff we got to get to. But I listen, that young lady deserves her flowers. She deserves her praise. You don't have to like her. I think you got to respect her. Pistol Pete, next up in line for Caitlin Clark. All right, we got to talk some Clemson basketball. Brock Purdy has gone on the record about the Super Bowl 58L. We got your NASCAR discussion later in the show. Carolina's finished up their coaching staff hirings and firings. We're going to get to that in a minute. And Sean Elliott on his way back to South Carolina. I got to tell you, I looked up some Sean Elliott stuff last night. I have to apologize. I was not familiar with his game. This guy's a maniac. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Let's see. Maravich played high school varsity ball at Daniel High School in Central South Carolina a year before being old enough to attend. Maravich participated in the school's first ever game against a team from an all-black school. In 1963, his father departed his position as head coach at Clemson and joined the coaching staff at NC State. Pistol Pete moved to Raleigh. It was known that Press Maravich was extremely protective of Pete and would guard against any issues that might come up during his adolescence. Press threatened to shoot Pete Maravich with a .45 caliber if he drank or got into trouble. Good Lord. I don't think Press Maravich was a gentle parenting guy. Hey, son, drink a beer. See what happens.
I'm not condoning it, but apparently it worked. I'm just, that's all I'm saying. I just, you know.
I would like to take that one further after walking down the hallway thinking about it and go on the record and say that not only does the Rob Brown Show, and I will speak for everybody here, not condone that. I would say I'm dramatically opposed to threatening your child with a gun. I'm actually anti that.
You know what? On behalf of all the people, I would like to thank you, Rob Brown, for taking a stand.
I'm willing to take on the tough issues here on the Rob Brown Show. We're not scared to say controversial things like don't point pistols at your kid.
Your local, the everything to help you be unstoppable store, the UPS store. Be unstoppable. The UPS store locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply.
So by tomorrow, I have to have that 64 team bracket done. And I haven't started on it.
Haven't started on it.
I got the 64 teams.
I will tell you, having done brackets before, it's as hard to seed as it is to pick.
This year more so than any other year, because the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 years I did it by money. So whatever movie character or movie made the most money, they got higher seeds. But in something like this, so since there are 4 Robins, the big decision is, do I put them all in one part of the bracket so people don't whine, or I just put one in each and say, I don't care what you say. I'm leaning towards that one because they're going to vote them out anyway. My money's on Barney Rubble
I like that pick.
or Boo Boo. It's going to be something like that.
I think you're going. I think you're going classic cartoon sidekick. There's just too much heat there.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you on a Friday morning. 3-day weekend coming up. We'll be off on Monday.
It's really like just an actual weekend for us because we both work on Saturdays, but still,
That's also true.
it's still
regular. It's okay. It's a regular weekend for us, but y'all won't see us till Tuesday.
yeah. I hate my technical brain doing that. I'm going to shut
Sorry,
up.
I got to drive back on Monday, so that's not even a day off for me. Georgia State now looking for a new head coach as Sean Elliott is resigning from the head coaching job to become the tight ends coach at South Carolina. His departure comes after Georgia State began spring practice earlier in the week. Elliott has been Georgia State's coach since 2017. The Panthers are 41-44 in his time with the school and have gone to 5 bowl games in 7 seasons. GSU was 7-6 last year and won the Potato Bowl to end the season. Before coming to Georgia State, Elliott was an assistant at South Carolina for 7 seasons. He and his family had remained in Columbia. He began at South Carolina under Steve Spurrier, was the team's interim head coach for the second half of the 2015 season after Spurrier's retirement. Stayed as an assistant for 2016 under Will Muschamp before taking the job at Georgia State. Elliott becomes the latest in the trend of group of 5 head coaches choosing to move to Power 5 programs as assistant coaches. A season ago, Kent State coach Sean Lewis left to become Colorado's OC. Lewis is now the head coach at San Diego State. This offseason, South Alabama coach Kane Womack left the Jags to become the defensive coordinator under new Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer. Group of 5 coaches have left for assistant coaching jobs at bigger schools as they can make as much, if not more money without running an entire program. Elliott made over $800,000 in 2023 and will likely receive a pay raise at South Carolina despite becoming a position coach. There's a lot of takeaways here. We'll obviously spend some time talking about what Elliott's addition to the team at South Carolina means. And let's start with, obviously, it's as much of a culture move as it is an X's and O's move. I didn't know. I'll be straight up with you. I knew who the guy was, but when the end of the Spurrier regime and the Muschamp stuff was starting, I was in Florida. South Carolina was on the radar in that they were an SEC East rival with the Gators, and I covered the Gators extensively down there in the FLA.
Am I the only one who doesn't
Yes.
care?
Yes, you are.
I okay.
Yes, you are.
I don't believe I'm on an island completely, but do you people not remember what he did as the interim coach and the losses? And it was so bad. I mean, yeah, he's pumped, he's excited, and they still lost. And it was bad. And I don't, why go back to that? I know he's just a position coach, but still, why go back to that? Because then if Shane struggles, there's going to be those people out there going, put Sean Elliott as a no, shut up now before you even say it.
So let's go with a couple of things.
I was talking to the people, not
No,
the,
I
not
know.
the- okay.
I know. Let's go with a couple of things. I would start with you, and you've done this now twice since I've been here, as the Panthers have had 2 interim coaches since I've been here. I think that because of the importance that you place on dubs and L's over progression of different metrics within a team. That 2015 team, when Steve Spurrier left, was in kind of a weird spot. It wasn't like South Carolina came in with expectations of 10-2 or 11-1, and Spurrier just kind of shockingly resigned, and this guy took over a Final Four caliber team. This was a team that was in a rough spot, which is why Spurrier
Can we bring in
left.
Skip Holtz next? Okay, I mean, let's bring in Skip Holtz too. I mean, why not? We're bringing back Sean Elliott. Let's bring back Skip Holtz.
I think that the understanding, the reason why it was that Steve Spurrier left was because of where this team was. It just wasn't where they wanted it to be. And the assumption, the belief that Elliott was going to take over and this team was just going to be just fine, to me, ain't it. It's not going to, it was never going to work.
There were some people who thought that.
I mean, that's fine.
I mean, I get the rah-rah. I'm excited. It's our team. This guy's going to do great. But sometimes, you need to get past that and go, okay, this does not look good.
So here's one of the things that I really do love and hate simultaneously about this job. It is, and I've warned about this before. We've talked about this before. I've tried to, I do try to annually try to temper the expectations of fans, because I think that fans go, this is what I, as a fan, expect. And therefore, the people that run the team should have the same expectations. And they don't. They don't.
Like you're saying we've never seen you do that.
Take me back to 2015.
I'll say New Orleans Saints, you do this some. You absolutely do this. You keep talking about wanting to fist fight the head coach in a
Correct.
parking lot.
Correct.
It's the same
do you
thing.
remember what my preseason prognostication for the Saints was?
No,
it was
dude,
10-7.
That was a long
expected
time ago.
10-7.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow, man.
10-7.
That was
We ended up at, what was it, 8-9? I was not far off. I wasn't saying, Saints should be 15-2 and win the. No, I'm not there.
But do you still want to fight Dennis Allen?
Yes, every day. Every
Okay.
day. I wake up
All
thinking about giving Dennis Allen these hands.
So you still have emotional, I don't want to say outbursts, but
Emotional outbursts.
I
wake up at night sweating. Dennis Allen, you son of a.
no, it's Bill Vinovich that you wake up.
Bill Vinovich can catch these hands too.
See?
Handicap match. I'm taking them both.
I'm
down.
talking about people coming from emotion that you
All
do
right.
also.
Here's where I want to take it though. Elliott did the best he could with what he had at a program that was in turmoil. And after Spurrier left, he won the very next game against Vanderbilt. Spurrier left after a road loss against the number 7 team in the country, LSU. And then the list of opponents went at Texas A&M, where he lost by a single touchdown, at Tennessee, where he lost by a field goal in a rivalry game. Then he lost by 10 to number 11 Florida. He lost by 1 point to the Citadel. I know that is one that we still talk about, and that's understandable. But South Carolina,
That's the one that gets me.
South Carolina is not the only team that has lost to an FCS squad. They're not.
Michigan.
Michigan, Florida State. A lot of schools have an FCSL. And then he lost to Clemson by 5 points when they were number 1 in the land. I'd say that's pretty good. So this is, to me, this is a culture hire. All right. I honestly, I don't know how much of a difference Sean Elliott makes as a tight end coach. Some of you guys may be a little bit more familiar with this guy. that I am. In fact, I would argue all of you are that are Gamecock fans. I don't know if there's anything Sean Elliott is going to do that is going to elevate the tight end position to become like an elite unit in the Southeastern Conference. What I do know is this. I went and researched the guy yesterday. I was looking up his stuff. I was watching tight end groups at Georgia State just to see how they utilize them in the offense and what he's going to end up doing, et cetera, et cetera. And all I kept coming across was videos of him hyping his boys up in the pregame. I mean, quite straight, almost straight up fighting his boys to get them going, get them hype. To the point that I was like, let's go. I'd play for this guy. And I think that's the hire. It's culture hire. It's a locker room hire. It's a dude you bring in because you know he's going to have a positive impact on the guys that are wearing the logos on the side of the helmet on Saturdays. And I like it. I like it. There is the conspiracy theory floating around already amongst less than all, but more than some Gamecock fans, that this is an angle to have your next guy already in the building if Shane Beamer's time ends prematurely. Now, that kind of leads to the discussion of, because I saw multiple Gamecocks yesterday saying something like, this is so we got our guy if we can Shane-O at the end of next year. And my thought would be, what's that number? What's that number where Gamecock administration go, okay, Shane's not the guy. We gave it a run. He ain't the guy. Is it 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins? What's the number that this is the right move? Because it doesn't feel like that to me. It doesn't feel like, I know there are some fans, because some fans just expect 12-0 for no good reason every year. I think making a bowl game last year was not an unrealistic expectation. We talked about that. Didn't happen. Disappointing, sure. So what's the rebound number? And do you think this is a move to have the next guy in the office? I can't say that I feel that way, but I do know it is a good way to maybe crank the pressure up on Shane without outright saying we're cranking the pressure up on Shane. We'll talk more about this later on in the radio broadcast. Texas said Lonzo is starting to sound like a Clemson fan, but more condescending. That texture just took out 2 parties with one Mr. Miyagi leg sweep. No, Cobra Kai leg sweep. We credit the leg sweep to Cobra Kai. No mercy. We'll talk more about this later. Gamecock fans, where do you fall on this hiring? Is it a warning shot to Shane Beamer? Is it to have the next HC in the locker room already? Or is it just because there's a good coach available that will come in, help build the culture, who probably wanted out of G5? Speaking of that, I want to talk about that later, because there's a reason all these G5 coaches are leaving to come be assistant coaches at an upper level. We'll talk about that later in the show. What we're going to talk about right now, actually, we're not going to talk. Lonzo's going to talk, and he's going to inform you of all the most important stories going on in the world of sports with this Sports Flash.
History was made last night in Iowa City, and it took less than 3 minutes. Caitlin Clark opened with a layup off the tip and followed it up with a 3 from the left side, and then another from the same spot but deeper when the ball found net. Carver Hawkeye Arena went crazy as Clark became the NCAA's all-time points leader on the women's side. Clark would go on to finish with 49 on the night and a career total of 3,569 points. It was Clark's 4th career game with more than 45. Next up, the all-time scoring record held by Pete Maravich. Clark needs 99 more for that mark. There's a major change coming in Major League Baseball. Yesterday, League Commissioner Rob Manfred said his current term will become his last. The 65-year-old announced when his current contract expires in 2029, he's hanging it up. Tune in Sunday at 1:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Chattanooga right here on your home for the Paladins, the Fan, Upstate.
QC Kinetics today. Hey, it's Charlie James. The state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only option. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative non-surgical drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury. Don't let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run, play, and live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. Jingle and A. You have 3 XYs and your current trophy wife wants a life.
Because when I leave for the night, I ain't coming back.
Previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800.
Happy Friday, Wesley. Let's see. FBS teams that have lost to FCS teams. Oh, there's actually a list of them.
During Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs.
Sacramento State beat Stanford in 23.
Store only. Offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
The biggest home expo sale ever. Store-wide savings.
Sacramento State also beat Colorado State. Montana beating I remember that. Washington was ranked when they lost that. Jacksonville State over Florida State. Northern Arizona over Arizona. The Citadel beat Georgia Tech 2019.
Home expo sale.
North Dakota State beating number 13 Iowa 2016. Richmond over Virginia. I remember that. They beat the hell out of Virginia in that game too. Furman over UCF in 2015. What was the reaction when that happened?
I don't remember.
Good enough.
Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
Hey everybody, it's Boomer Esiason here, and eBay Motors has everything you need to keep your
Eastern Washington over Oregon State when they were ranked. Georgia Southern Florida. That game, Georgia Southern threw the ball like 3 times in that game, and they won. Florida got destroyed when that happened.
Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
QC in the first break.
10-4.
W246CD Spartanburg.
And check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents freedom green. Yeah.
See you unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Rob only on
The Fan Upstate.
The second hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Fan Upstate. My name is Rob Brown, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate, the great one, Lonzo, on the Unos and Doses today. 844-326-3663 is the number to the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. 844-326-3663. 71307 is the text line. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. The NCAA's website has a list of every FCS over FBS win of all time. We triggered this conversation in the last hour with the discussion about the Citadel knocking off South Carolina when Sean Elliott was the interim coach there. Trey jumped on the stream and said, it's a great hire. Elliott was the offensive line coach and became the interim. I don't blame him for the Citadel loss. I was at that game. I think he's going to bring a spark to the offense. I've never seen a coach like headbutt his own players as a hype move, except for this guy.
Yeah, he's done really well at the same level that South Carolina has throughout his career, right? I mean, because he's been head coaches somewhere, other places. He's had that stellar career that he's the guy that you want to be the next guy, right?
Do you think there is, and I'm asking this as a genuine question. Do you think this is them putting on the inside track just in case they eventually feel Shane's not working out?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't at all. And I don't understand why. I'm more upset that fans are clamoring for this.
They're hype right now.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense to me. And again, I mean, if this guy was out there tearing it up everywhere else, including on the level that he went down to, then that's different. But he disappeared. Hadn't heard from him until he decided, I don't want to be a head coach anymore. I'm going to go over here.
So,
all right. So compare it to Ohio State. Chip Kelly leaving where he was as a head coach on the level that he was, going there to be an assistant coach.
yeah, that's a wild decision.
But that is more of a coach in waiting than this is. That makes sense. If Ryan Day were to be let go and Chip Kelly took over, people would be like, okay, I get it. You brought that guy in for that. So I don't get the level of people saying that this guy, oh, well, we got our next guy. No, you don't. You don't.
I will,
Or you better hope you don't.
I will agree with you. I do not think this is the athletic department setting
I'm
up.
talking about the fans. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the fans and all. I am completely shocked about the excitement over this. I genuinely am.
They are hype. They are quite hype about it. Like I said, and I assume that this is I think there are two groups of fans in this conversation. I think there are a group of fans. I don't think it's a large one for the Gamecocks, but I think there's a group of fans that do believe that this is a safety valve. This is a preliminary move in case they decide at some point in the near future that, you know what, we just don't feel like we're getting better quickly enough. We got our next guy.
Just bring Will Muschamp back. I mean, he won some games. He's going to win you some games. Sean Elliott not going to do that. I don't. So what? He's a hyped rah guy. Anybody can do that. That doesn't mean you can win games. And the fact that you guys genuinely think that this is the next guy, that's just not good.
Well,
man.
let me be clear. I think we are talking to a very small number of Gamecock fans. I don't think it's that. I don't think that's the majority of the fans. I don't think that's most of the fans. I don't even think that's half of the fans.
And by the way, he seems to be a good guy. He really does. I'm not disparaging him as a human being. I'm just talking about him as a coach. And I don't get it. Hopefully he does well by the tight ends.
I think that the excitement comes from the fact that this program right now, if we just got to get down to brass tacks, as the expression goes, though I don't know why. Now I know what I'm doing in the break. We got to get down to brass tacks. Right now, if you were South Carolina, I think the thing that you are most excited about is the culture around your program. I can't be super jazzed about a team that missed the bowl game despite having what I think is the best quarterback that's ever played at South Carolina. I know that's a fight, but we'll save that debate for another time. but certainly inside the top 3. One of the best 3 quarterbacks that's ever played there. To me, number 1. Despite having the athletes that you had this year, and I know there were injuries to guys like Juice, and he missed a lot of the games, and et cetera, et cetera. I think it's kind of hard to get excited over a 5-win football team right now. A 5-win football team that lost talent, a 5-win football team that, the last couple of years has been in the running for Portal King, just lost a ton of talent on the way out. I think it's hard to be excited about the team on the grass right now. So what can you be hyped about? The culture. It's still exciting. It's still energetic. Now, as we have said on the show many times,
it
eventually
also
it's going
was
to lose that luster.
It also was when they didn't win a game. So that's not changed. That's not going to change. So if you're bringing someone in to enhance culture, it's not necessary. The Gamecocks fans are going to show up, win or lose.
Here, so let me put it this way, and we got to get to the water cooler cheat sheet at some point, but I think this conversation's important, so we'll put it off if we need to. The guy's not coming in to be the offensive coordinator. The guy's not coming in to be the head coach. He's coming in to be the tight ends coach, which, again, is he going to have an impact on the offense? Yeah, of course he is. He's running a skill group that you, especially with a first-year true starting quarterback next year, the guy's coming to be a tight ends coach. So I agree with you in that if you're one of the Gamecock fans that's like all jazzed that your next HC is in the building, pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe relax. We're not quite there. But I also don't think it is ridiculous to be excited about a guy who clearly knows ball enough to hold multiple jobs in multiple spots, including an FCS caliber head coaching job, to come in to be a position coach. And if the thing that is most exciting about your program right now is the culture, this is a guy who is very clearly a hype guy, a guy that is going to have the players around him have more juice because of him. And I think for South Carolina, you kind of have to lean on that a little bit right now. Like, you're going to have to, true or false, South Carolina going back to a bowl game next year, they're going to have to win 2 or 3 games just on jacked, just on juice, just on energy. Because talent-wise, they're going to be outmanned in most games next year. Is that wrong?
It's no different than any year. Just like, oh, they have the worst schedule. They have the worst schedule every year. I mean, that's just an excuse. Yeah, they're going to have to win some games that people think they shouldn't win. Absolutely. But that's what happens when you are a team that's not winning and you want to win. And then suddenly you start winning some of those regularly and you're not that team anymore. You're the one expected to win. They've been there. They've been the team expected to win. They're not that right now. I just don't get excited. It's sad when you're getting excited for this.
I think that
this shouldn't even be a story. It shouldn't.
At the risk of being labeled amongst our dear listenership, our tremendous listenership, at the risk of being labeled a Gamecock hater, which I don't think I am, I will say this.
For the radio listeners who are not online, Rob is wearing a Carolina hockey jersey right now.
Because it's a dope jersey.
It is a sweet looking jersey.
And they gave it to me with my name on the back. You want to pander to Rob Brown? Give him a jersey with his name on the back. He'll do whatever you ask. Okay? I'm a simple man.
So now we know what the price is.
Simple man. Oh, I've never hit that. Never backed off of that. At the risk of sounding like a Gamecock hater, I think right now you have to lean into that. I think you have to lean into, how do we get people pumped? How do we make sure that we keep Willie B alive? How do we give people optimism that we're, even if it's a slow march, we're pointed in the right direction?
Put him in the cocky suit. Yay.
You are cynical this morning.
I don't get it. I just don't.
If this was a hire to be the offensive coordinator, I'd agree with you, or at least be more in your direction.
I am guessing that the staff of South Carolina is not hyped the way some of the fans are. They just filled a position, and they're good to have someone back that used to be there. And I'm guessing probably, because I don't remember all the assistant coaches, probably coached with Shane when Shane was there with Spurrier. I mean, cool. But if this is the only thing you're getting excited about, I worry for the season.
So that is actually a valid and a fair point. I think you can be excited about Lenora Sellers because we saw him a couple of times last year, and he dropped a couple of dimes last year when he checked in for Spencer Rattler. I think be excited about Lenora Sellers. That's a big get. Next year, he likely is taking over to be starting QB1 for the season. I think it's fine to be excited there. But what else are we pumped about? Like, legitimately, South Carolina fans. I'll even ask you, the phone lines are open, 844-326-3663. What are you excited about for next season? It can't be the matchups. Like, I know Talonzo, the schedule's the schedule year after year. Schedule sucks next year. You're up against it. It's awful.
I know how it sounds, but they have a bad schedule every year. If you're not a good team, the schedule's always bad. If you're a good team, look at all the juggernauts that you're facing. I mean, they're in the SEC. They're going to get some really good teams every single year.
Nobody's arguing that. I think the argument is it's like next year they're catching every good team. It's just it's a rough year even compared to rough years. So I don't think it's the matchups. I don't think it's any spots in the schedule that you go, okay, right this spot, we could go on a little run here, maybe build some momentum. It's not that. I'm not going to say that the luster has worn off of Shane. I will say I think this is the last year that the goodwill and culture is going to carry him. I think you've got to have results this year. And the worst part about that is I don't think the team is going to be talent-wise dramatically better next year than it was this year. I don't. So I think he's going to have to dig out some results this year. He is going to have to, there has to come a point, I think, for Shano where we end the season and Zoe and I look back in the season recap and go, this game got won because Shane out-X'd and O'd their guy. This game got won because of tactics. This game got won because of a game plan. I said on the on BetMGM tonight last night, we were talking about the head coaches in the Super Bowl. And they said, Rob, shocking that Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. And I said, look, here's the reality. Mahomes had a good game. Did he have like a shockingly good game? Did he have a standout game? Did he have a game that we're going to be 20 years from now talking about? Do you remember Pat's performance in Super Bowl 58? No, he had a good game. 333 yards, a touchdown. Like, it was a good game. I said Patrick Mahomes got the MVP for one reason. There was nobody else to give it to. To me, I thought Christian McCaffrey was the game MVP. We just don't give MVPs to players on losing teams. Let me tell you who the MVP was. It wasn't an MVP. It was an MVC. You know who won that game? Andy Reid. Andy Reid and his adjustments won that game. Andy Reid figuring out why Travis Kelce ended the half with one catch for 1 yard and then breaking that won that game for them. Andy Reid seeing, Shanahan's getting away from the run. I can change up the defense a little bit and make life more difficult for Brock Purdy. Won that game. Him noticing these things and making those changes won that game. Not Patrick Mahomes, not Travis Kelce, not Isaiah Pacheco. It was Andy Reid that won that game for Kansas City. Shane has got to figure out how to get to that. He's got to figure out how to do for his team what Andy Reid did for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He's got to figure out, how do I win games with the X's and the O's? How do I win games with the scheme, with the game plan, and with tinkering with the game plan inside of a game? Because I don't think, like, South Carolina's going to out-talent the FCS team, sure. They're going to out-talent the Vanderbilts of the world, sure. But the Florida games, the Missouri games, the A&M games, how are you going to start consistently winning those games? Because it's not on talent. It's got to be on Shane Beamer being a game manager, being a tactician, being a strategist, being a tinkerer like Andy Reid does. And while the culture is great at South Carolina, and I understand it's been that way at Willie B for always. No matter what's happening, that place is packed. I got you. I understand it. At some point, unless you just accept your lot in life, which, hey, some people do that. They just accept this is just what I am. It's sad. Unless you just accept your lot that you are always going to be a mid team, that at some point, I think we got a great culture. It runs its course to me. There comes a point where dudes like me are going to get bored of covering your team. And I don't want to do that. There comes a point where dudes like me start going, what's the point of talking about them? They win all the games they're supposed to. None of the games they're not. They're never in contention. They're never going to win the division. Don't you get tired of that? A guy like Sean Elliott, to me, coming in to be a culture guy with some HC experience to kind of help out with Shane, relieves that pressure a little bit. Relieves that pressure of the game planning, relieves that pressure of the in-game tinkering, helps with the culture side of it. I just need to know where you go next. And I will say this, though. This doesn't answer that question. That question remains to be seen.
The question is, how's the offensive line going to play this year?
It's big. You got a new guy at QB. There's a very good chance that as goes the OL, goes the offense, because that's last year you had a good enough quarterback that your OL could play like crap and you still had a chance in the Mizzou and the A&M and the Florida games. I don't know that that's going to be the case next year. I'm not saying it's not. I wouldn't say that it is either. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, water cooler cheat sheet. We got to get to that. Top 3 sports stories you need to know. We hit them and give you some thoughts on them next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys, quick live read. We're coming right back. Y'all stay right there, please, and thank you. right, amigos, we're back. Thanks for hanging in there. Much appreciated.
Hey, Rob Bradford here. I have set out on a mission with my good friend to prove what I have known for some time. Baseball isn't boring. Now I have a daily podcast with some of the most notable people in the baseball world screaming baseball isn't boring from the mountaintops, or at least agreeing to come on our show. Players, managers, GMs, and yes, even the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred. It's the constant wave of baseball's most powerful voices. So join the revolution. Subscribe and soak in Baseball Isn't Boring. Listen on your Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. You'll be glad you did.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. With repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
You heard it live. First and goal at the 3. Lining up in the clock at 10 seconds and ticking. In the shotgun Mahomes. 4-man front. Zero motion. Low snap. He runs and he throws. Caught. Touchdown. It's caught. Ivan caught the ball. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won. The biggest plays. The entire big trophy. The biggest game. Chasing Mahomes to the end zone. The Fan Upstate. The Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. Ladies and gentlemen, you're just a touch over half an hour away from clocking in at work if you got one of those 8 to 5ers. And when you do that, you will be, of course, looking forward to that first smoke break or water break or whatever kind of break it is that you prefer to take. And when you take that first break, you're going to want to talk sports with your coworkers. And if you want to talk sports with your coworkers, you're going to need to know what's going on in the sports world. And if you want to know what's going on in the sports world, you're going to need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"You hear that?"
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you start talking sports with your coworkers. I am going to jump into item number 1, but before I say that, Lonzo, Penn State is apparently considering naming their stadium after Joe Paterno. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. That seems like a terrible idea. You're going to get dunked on relentlessly, Penn State.
We'll see. We'll see what if the outcry is enough to stop them. They had to consider it before they decided to at least think about this, and maybe they're just putting it out there to see what kind of reaction they get.
I feel like even thinking about it is bad enough, but maybe it's just me. Let's get to item number 1. Who else is it going to be but Caitlin Clark? Took her less than 3 minutes to acquire the 8 points that she needed last night to become the most prolific scorer in Division I women's college basketball history. The Iowa superstar broke Kelsey Plum's 3,527-point record 3 minutes into a game. She needed 8. She got 2 off the tip, and then in back-to-back possessions, knocked down a couple of threes from the left-hand side. That gave her the 8 that she needed. The 6-foot-tall senior point guard eclipsed the all-time mark against Michigan in her 126th game. The points she needed to ultimately do the breaking of the record came well beyond the three-point line, drilled a deep shot from the left side. It was her 3rd bucket, her 8th point of the day, as she pulled up in a shot that was, let's say, reflective of the moment. Of course, Carver Hawkeye Arena went absolutely bananas. Caitlin Clark was not done. She would end up with 49 points on the night, the 5th time that she went over the 40-point mark in her 4-year career. thus far. The reigning Naismith and Wooden Award winner, averaging 32.1 points, 7 boards, and 8.3 assists per game. Her 47.3 field goal percentage on an average of 22 attempts per game is a career high. She is hitting 39.3% from deep, near her freshman career high. She is doing it on more attempts per game. She holds the men's and women's record for most games scoring at least 30 points. She has 51 of those over the past 25 years and scored at least 40 on 11 different occasions. 4 of those games were against ranked AP top 25 teams. Only once in her career has she scored in single digits. It was earlier in her freshman season. Clark has at least 20 in every game so far this season. The national spotlight, obviously, last night on Caitlin Clark of the Iowa Hawkeyes. And man, if you didn't tune in and watch that game last night, you just missed out. You just missed out. It was spectacular. It was a moment. I love watching sports history, and you got a little bit of it yesterday evening. Let us go to item numero dos. Yes, it is happening 5 years from now. But 5 years from now, Major League Baseball will be working on its next commissioner. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred told reporters yesterday that this will be his final term in office, and he will retire when it expires in January of 2029. The 65-year-old, of course, replaced Bud Selig as commish back in 2015 and has been given 2 5-year terms since then. The owners voted in July to give him una más. Manfred, when asked about the retirement, said, quote, "You can only have so much fun in one lifetime. I have been open with the owners about the fact that this is going to be my last term." Manfred has been working with Major League Baseball since 1987. He began his tenure as an outside counsel, then as chief negotiator for labor matters. And then he took over for Selig, who spent 18 years as the commish under Manfred's regime. The game has obviously undergone some big changes. We have the successful implementation of the pitch clock last year. That coincided with, it is not necessarily the cause of, but it did coincide with a nearly 10% increase in ballpark attendance. And in 2022, Manfred oversaw playoff expansion to 12 teams. His tenure will also be defined by some of the negatives, including the handling of the Houston Astros cheating scandal, in which he gave players blanket immunity in exchange for their testimony. He told the New York Times that it was, quote, "maybe not my best decision ever," end quote. Manfred also oversaw the 2021-22 lockout that pushed the game to the precipice of a significant work stoppage. Eventually, the league and the MLB Players Association struck a 5-year collective bargaining agreement deal that expires after the 2026 season. Manfred said that he hopes to have a process in place for expanding the league to 32 teams before he leaves town. We will see what happens, but Rob Manfred on his way out, and may I just say, well, bye. Rob Manfred's not the worst commissioner. He is dramatically far from the best. And that's about the best I can say, man. That's about the best I can say. Let's go to item number 3. The Daytona 500 is lined up for Sunday. Now, there is a threat of rain in the area for the 500, and you cannot run that race in the rain. It is too fast. It is too wide open. It is too slick. They're not racing in the rain in Daytona. So there is the threat that the Daytona 500 could be moved to Monday, which would be wildly disappointing, at least to me as a NASCAR guy. But we do know some things going on right now. Like, for instance, last night, the duels took place, and it took a little bit of panic in qualifying, but we do know that 7 times. Was that 7 times? Anyway, 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmie Johnson is in. New co-owner of Legacy Motor Club did not have the speed in time trials to earn a spot Wednesday in the season opening race. Meant he had to race his way into the 40-car field last night at Daytona International Speedway. He only had to beat J.J. Yaley in the qualifying race, and Yaley was driving a car that barely made it to Daytona and only announced Yaley as the driver on Wednesday, 2 days after Greg Biffle said he had pulled out as the driver of that same car. A late spin put Johnson in a dangerous spot. The desperation set in on the backstretch of the last lap. He knew he needed help from another driver, understood how challenging the final 2 turns would be, and yet he hammered down and made it work. He said, quote, I'm not going to not make it to the Daytona 500. I'm going to have to call all our partners. I'm going to have to stand in the suite during the 500 and shake hands and not drive a car. This is running through my mind. I have to figure out a way. So he did. Pulled it off with a 3-wide move through the final turn that had him locked into his 21st Daytona 500. Johnson won the race twice in 2006 and 2013. He was driving for Hendrick Motorsports at both times. We also know that noted Greenville Swamp Rabbits fan Tyler Reddick is in as well. The 2311 driver won the 150-mile race that is part of how the field is set Sunday. Chris Bell won the second race last night as Toyota swept the 2 duels, but it is going to be Fords in the new Dark Horse Mustang that will be in the 1 and 2 spot up front. Joey Logano and Michael McDowell will run in the 1 and 2 spot. Hendrick Motorsports had won the pole for 8 of the last 9 Daytona 500s. Not this year. Their team's highest qualifier, Kyle Larson, in 3rd place, thanks to Logano and McDowell. Kyle Larson qualified 3rd in a Chevy. Austin Cindric in a Ford will start 4th. Hendrick teammates Chase Elliott and William Byron will be in their Camaros in 5th and 6th. Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch will start at 7 and 8 in their Chevrolets, followed by Ross Chastain in his Chevy for Trackhouse, and Harrison Burton in a Ford for Wood Brothers. Of course, Dillon won the Daytona 500 in 2018. We got a couple of surprise entrants. Anthony Alfredo is in. Alfredo drives for Beard Motorsports. David Reagan in a special 3rd car for RFK Racing took 2 of the 4 open spots based on the field. Jimmy Johnson did not make it into the field, raced his way in Thursday in the qualifying races. There's your starting 10-ish plus a couple other guys. Again, the 500 expected to run Sunday afternoon. Fingers crossed that the rain stays out of the way so that we can make this work, because NASCAR Day is Sunday and Monday would be during my nap time. And we don't want that. Lonzo and I thrive on naps right now. Big siesta guys over here. So a Monday race would ruin my nap. And I can't have that.
Whereas a Monday race would help my nap.
That's fair. We don't work on Monday. That's a good call. I can nap before. No, I can't. I got to drive back. Oh, could you imagine my poor drummer, non-NASCAR guy, having to listen to the Daytona 500 on the radio the whole drive back? He would love that. Hey, sacrifices must be made.
Hopefully he's like most drummers and keeps some sticks with him so you can get hit upside the head while you do that.
We will keep you up to date on any news that takes place between here and, well, let's say tonight. We got to run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we will wrap up hour number 2 of the show. We've got golf to talk. We got Clemson basketball to talk, and I'd like to hit that when we come back. Brad Brownell was asked, hey, man, looks like you're in the tourney. It looked about a month ago like you might be playing your way out. What happened? And Brad Brownell broke down the turnaround of the Clemson basketball team. I was trying to think of another word with rhymed with round, but I think I used all my rap talent yesterday.
Instead, you sound like Christopher Walken.
He broke down why this basketball team. No, I don't. No, I don't. But I appreciate the compliment. I just feel about the Walken commercial.
It was amazing. And it also, think about it. If you're that guy, you probably are hearing that all the time.
Wow. We got to run to a break. I'm not going to do that anymore. It's Lonzo. It's Rob. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
Smith and James.
That hurt. Be right back. We got a live read. Stay right there. right? Friends, family, countrymen. I assume. Maybe some non-countrymen. How do you feel about teams wearing uniforms that aren't their team colors?
You mean like throwbacks?
No, like so Orlando City is an MLS team, and their colors are purple, white, and gold, and they just rolled out a red uniform. No reason. It's just a special uniform they're wearing this year. And I'm like, you don't wear red. That's other teams' colors, man.
I mean, if you're wearing pink for a cause or something like that, I get it. But yeah, that is weird.
You know who blessed my YouTube shorts yesterday? Big Van Vader.
That's cool.
It has been a minute since I've seen Vader.
I didn't think he was alive.
No, I like old wrestling clips.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't think
I misunderstood what you said.
Sorry. I'm bad at communications. I probably shouldn't do it for a living. Wrapping up the second hour of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Up State. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE is the number. Clemson played Miami earlier in the year, and it did not go well. Back on January 3rd, Miami scored 60 points in the second half. They blew past Clemson in that game. Well, Miami came up to Little John on Wednesday, and Los Tigres returned the favor, 77-60 victory at Little John. After the Miami loss back in January, the Tigers dropped 3 consecutive. It dropped them out of the top 25 poll altogether. It dropped them multiple spots in just about every metric that is utilized to put the bracket together. And for a hot minute there, it looked like Clemson may not make the tournament at all. But then Clemson knocked off number 3, North Carolina, up in Chapel Hill. And it was the first time in a hot minute that Clemson's basketball program on the men's side closed out a game, finished the game. There were a lot of opportunities late in that game for Clemson to hand it over to North Carolina. And North Carolina made a run at it. They went on to open the second half like a 9-point run that closed the gap to within a couple of points. And then Clemson just didn't panic, didn't fall apart, didn't let the moment get too big for them, which was a nice change of pace. So Brad Brownell got asked what had gone into the recent turnaround and the fact that all of the sudden Clemson was dangerous in the end of games, whereas earlier in the season they were hemorrhaging L's that were coming inside the second half, predominantly late in the second half. And Brownell said, quote, "Good players. It's mostly good players making plays." Now, he did elaborate. He said, you've got to get stops, and then your guys have to make basketball plays. You try to put them in some favorable positions. We're helping them with some plays. There are certainly some actions and things we've taught them to help, but at the end of the day, they've got to execute, end quote. So I read that quote, and I went back last night because I've got all the games saved on the I almost said the VCR. We talked about VHS earlier in the show, and now I'm bringing up my VCR. Do you have a working VCR still?
I have a couple of them.
Is it in use?
No, I've been waiting because I still have some old wrestling matches and football games from the kids that I need to transcribe over to digital.
Yeah.
And what I'll end up doing is probably just sending them away to get done.
I still have a VCR. I don't think it's been used in a decade, but I still have it. All right, anyway. So I went back into the not VCR, and I went back and I rewatched the end of that North Carolina Clemson game, because that was kind of the spot where I think most of us went, oh, they can be for real. They can get it done. So I went back and watched that towards the end of that game. And there was definitely a marked change in attitude for this basketball team under pressure in that spot. And I'll tell you what I saw. What I saw was a team that looked the same in the last 2 minutes of the second half, in the last 10 minutes of the second half, as they did in the first 10 minutes of the second half. I saw a team that was playing the same basketball. It was the same execution. It was the same tempo. It was the same pace. I think one of the things that has been an issue for Clemson over the years has been when teams have cranked up the pressure on them. I'm talking about Miami in the second half of that early January game. I think when teams cranked up the pressure on Clemson, I was going to say in years gone by, but I honestly, in months gone by, they allowed the game to be dictated to them. And I know that this is basketball cliches. I get it. But cliches are cliches for a reason, even if I don't like them. I think a lot of games, they allowed the tempo to be dictated. And what I mean by that is, I think Clemson started getting into some track meets with teams like Miami. And they're just not a team that's built to win track meet basketball games. They're not a team that is meant to win or built to win games where the game is being played in transition, where the game is being played full speed from one end to the other. Clemson is a team that is built on ball movement around the arc, getting the ball to your best player inside, and then letting everybody else play around him. And in those games where they were given some back, I thought they got away from that a little bit. I thought they kind of got into games where they're like, we're going to let our best athletes go be athletes. And it's not to say they don't have great athletes. They do. But that's not what it was about. It was about, in those spots, it was about saying, no, we don't care if you want to play track meet basketball. We don't care if you want a full court press and turn this into a game of transitions and turn this into a game where, offensive rebounds on our end, we're going to push you up the court. What was that?
I jammed my finger. I don't think I've done that in forever. I went to reach and
Lonzo's putting himself on the DL pushing a button. Ouch.
I wasn't even pushing a button. I was reaching to grab because the chair stuck. I was reaching to grab to pull myself closer to the yeah.
That looked like it sucked, if we're being honest.
Oh, it still hurts.
Yeah. This looks like a team in these last couple games. Specifically, like I said, I rewatched the last 8 minutes or so of that game against North Carolina. That was a game that was a team that controlled the tempo of that game. That was a team that said, no. We know you want RJ Davis to get up and down the floor. We know you want us to focus on RJ getting up and down the floor so that you can find Armando Bacot underneath. We know what you want to do. And we're not going to do that. Now, am I being a sucker? Am I getting lulled in because this team's going to go back to its roots? I don't know. Like I said, I'm wildly disappointed with the L that Auburn hung on Lamont Paris the other day. Not because of the L. That's a top. Auburn, honestly, is 2 stupid losses away from being a top 10 program. That's a good team. And Opelika is arguably the most difficult place to win in college basketball this year. Even Kentucky's losing at Rupp Arena. Auburn doesn't lose at home. They lost like 3 and 4 years at the house. They're good there. It wasn't the loss that turned me off about that game. And it wasn't the fact that the loss was by 40 points. It was the fact that South Carolina regressed to the mean. It was that a team that in games gone by was losing their composure entirely down the stretch. Against Alabama, had guys getting into the face of Alabama players that were on the bench, not even on the floor, on the bench. And then against teams like Kentucky, against teams like Tennessee, all of the sudden, those issues stop being issues for South Carolina. And then all of a sudden, they're winning those games. Well, then they go to Opelika. Auburn got in their heads, and they fell apart. They went right back to where they were a month and a half ago, that had everybody going, it's going to be a long year, dog. It's going to be a real long year. So it is possible. It is possible for all the improvement to just go away. Now, Lonzo asked the question on Thursday when we talked about this. Was that a one-off? Was that sometimes you just got to relearn your lesson. Sometimes you learn your lesson and then you start succeeding and then you go back to your old ways and you got to relearn the lesson. You got to get punched in the mouth again. And maybe that's the case. So my question is, did Brownell figure it out? Did this team figure it out? This team is knocking down threes predominantly because they're playing through PJ Hall, collapsing man defenses, earning cushion for shooters, and those shooters are taking advantage of that. And now all of a sudden they're playing poised basketball. Because you knock down 13 threes like you did against Miami, you're going to have some confidence. You get some confidence, changes the way you play basketball. So, I'm going to tell you right now, the game against NC State tomorrow, is massive because this is an NC State team that is absolutely going to try to get you out of your confidence. It's going to try to get you out of that comfort zone that you've built by having the success that you've had in these last couple of games. They're going to try to get you out of the rhythm of the contest. They're going to want to make you run. Tomorrow we find out. I'll put it this way. Clemson's in. I'm comfortable Clemson's in. I don't think unless there's just a catastrophe down the stretch, they're in. Tomorrow we find out if they're in and they can make noise or if they're in and they go out with a whimper. If NC State, now seeing what Clemson's done the last few games, can get them back into a spot where Clemson's not playing inside out basketball, not controlling the pace of the play, and allows NC State to do that, at that point, I won't really care if they're in because they're going to get knocked out early. You go tomorrow, you dictate this game to the Wolfpack. Now, all of a sudden, I think maybe they flip the switch. Or am I getting suckered in by Brad Brownell again? We'll talk more about that on Tuesday when we get the results of tomorrow. Speaking of confidence, speaking of dictating the pace, nobody in the game does those two things better than this guy right here.
Tiger Woods made his return to professional golf when he teed off at the Genesis Invitational, and it was an average day. The season debut saw Woods card a 1/72. Woods said on Wednesday he wasn't suffering pain, but said his back began to lock up late into the round. Happens when you get older. The Daytona 500 will be led to the green by Fords on Sunday as Joey Logano and Michael McDowell earned the top two spots in the Great American Race. Hendrick Motorsports drivers had been on the pole in 8 of the last 9 races, but their first driver, Kyle Larson, will start third. Austin Cindric will roll off fourth with Chase Elliott and William Bryson following him. Make sure you tune in Sunday at 1:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Chattanooga right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball, The Fan, upstate.
Regenerative medicine Don't let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run, play, and live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. Greenville and Ashland. For John's 60th birthday, his family planned to drive down old Route 66. But the trip took a detour when his wife got sick with RSV. It's a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems and hospitalizations. This year, we don't want
It's got a advertisement asking me if I had prepared for Valentine's Day yet.
Have you?
I did. I prepared exceptionally well.
They're maybe talking about next year.
I mean, they're jumping on it. I appreciate that.
So don't wait. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine of Brisbane, because every breath matters.
Our forests are an economic engine that creates wealth, provides jobs, and contributes to the state's quality of life. South Carolina and our neighboring southern states make up what's called the wood basket of the world, producing more wood than any other single country on earth. Forestry is a pillar of our state's economy, employing more than 100,000 people and generating an economic impact of more than $23.2 billion annually.
South Carolina Forests. They'll grow with you. Sponsored by the South Carolina Forestry Commission, the South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this station.
When something happens to your car, you might say, but what you really need to say is something that can actually help.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Just like that.
The WrestleMania VCR game? I don't know what that is.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. State Farm. Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Upstate.
WYRB Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. CBS Sports. Live from the Philadelphia.
Man, check this out.
We're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represent me a win. Yeah.
Featured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
And off we go into hour number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Just 2 hours stand between us and the weekend. Well, on this show, you guys got hours left to go after that, but we're going to help you kill off 2 of them right now. Here on the broadcast, my name is Rob Brown. On the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM, the guy in charge of this radio program and every radio program that you have ever loved in your entire life, the great Lonzo, working the ones and twos for you this AM. If you want to talk to him and or me, 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. That is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. You can also text us 71307-71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can tweet post X Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. You can tweet X post me at The Rob Brown Show. You can get everybody up in the building at The Fan Upstate if you want to go in that direction. You are welcomed and encouraged to participate in the show. Lonzo, do you have any like unfounded phobias Any unfounded fears, like things that haven't happened to you, but you're terrified that it would?
You mean like drowning or being caught in a box that's on fire or?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more along the lines of like,
Or a bear in the woods?
all right, where you live, that's realistic.
Exactly.
I'm talking about like, I don't know, getting stuck in an elevator, right? Like not going to kill you, but definitely going to suck.
I am slightly claustrophobic, but I think it depends on if I have to pee or not.
Like Dwight from The Office. I ask because yesterday, Farley Dickinson University's basketball team was in an away game against Long Island University, and that game got delayed because several members of the Farley Dickinson basketball team got stuck in an elevator for like a while. Players eventually started climbing out of the elevator when the FDNY showed up and pried it open. And here's the part that scares me. It's not the being stuck in the elevator. It's the fact that once they opened the doors and they were between floors, these guys had to climb up and out. My phobia, my fear, Zoe, is that I'm halfway climbed out when the elevator starts going back down. That's my fear.
Well, if you watch enough Bruce Willis films, you know that won't happen unless there's some sort of terrorist cutting the wire at the top. I have been trapped in a room for, I think it was 9 hours in college. And someone got mad at ColecoVision football. One of my roommates got up, slammed the door, and the door broke and it could not be opened. So the locking thing, whatever the thing that sticks out that holds the door closed, it broke, and they had to call a locksmith, and it was a Sunday, and it took them forever to get there. And two of the guys in the room were there after doing a tour in the Air Force. One of them freaked out to the point that I have never.
Is this like a dorm room?
Yes,
Okay.
but they overbooked the college that year, and so there were 4 of us staying in a social room. So it was a big room. It actually was about the size of this room. So that's how big our room was, so it wasn't like a little tiny room, but because the door was broken, we're on the second floor. He freaked out so bad, and I'm just on the top bunk going, dude, you got to calm down. And he was just, he is pacing. He's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? To the point where, it's college, so people think stuff is funny. They're slipping little Debbies under the door so we don't starve. And then finally, one of the guys broke down and just peed out of the second story window facing the girls' dorm, because the girls' dorm was always like, I just can't hold it anymore. I got to do it.
I want you to know the first place my head went was that this story ends with Lonzo just running through the door.
No.
Just breaking down the door.
No. The doors were that
Okay.
thick that you couldn't do that. And so when they unlocked it, I just calmly got off the second bunk, went to the restroom. It just, but my dude, we'll call him Don because that was his name.
We'll call him Don because that's what we called him.
Yeah, he I've never seen anyone freak out like that before. And it's if you get stuck in an elevator and someone's freaking out, you might have to like put them in a sleeper or something to remove them from the situation.
So one of the guys on the FDU basketball team said, quote, one of my teammates was in there with me. He was claustrophobic. He panicked a little bit, but for me, it wasn't too bad. It was just getting hot, though. It was getting really, really hot. We were sweating in there.
See, the overthinker in me would be thinking, okay, it's getting hot in here. We're sweating. How much air is in here? Even though there's plenty of air.
I mean, they're vacuum sealed.
Yeah, but that would be the first place my mind goes, would be amount of air. And I would immediately go, guys, we don't have enough air. Some of you are going to have to stop breathing so heavy.
The Knights were eventually extracted from the elevator. They would make it out to the floor. The game started about 20 minutes late, and then they won.
All right, the other thing, they're like 6'5". They're basketball players. You stand on top of the elevator, even if you're halfway through, you're like your entire upper torso is probably sticking over the next door.
Here's my thought. You go immediately to air. My first thought was, well, time to see if all those movies are right, that if you move an elevator tile, you can climb up through the roof and stand on top of the elevator. That's what I'm about to find out.
You don't look for those in every elevator you
Every
get
elevator
into.
I get in.
Yeah.
Every elevator
I
get
haven't
in.
seen one yet.
Well, because they have they put the ceilings in the elevator, but I wonder if okay, if I just, is it like, you move one of these tiles and up like all the ducts and everything are above us. Is it the same way in an elevator? If I move a tile, am I going to see the little latch on the door?
Have you looked in our elevator?
I have not. We should after the show. You think we get in trouble for that?
For
It's show prep, right?
No, just
For
go
the show.
Just go ask Chris and he'll show it to us if it exists. And if he doesn't know, then he'll take it apart to find it to show us.
That's fair. I can't get in trouble if engineering does it. They were in there 17 minutes.
And have you ever tried to have you ever been in an elevator and stopped it in between floors? I've never done that. And I don't even know if that's possible.
I don't. They were stopped between floors. Half the elevator was on one, half the elevator was on the other. And so when FDNY showed up and propped the doors of this thing open, they were halfway up. And so to get out, they had to climb out of the elevator up onto the next floor up. And like I said, my initial thought was I would probably go, no, I'll just wait till it's working again. Because with my luck, torso's on the lobby, legs are in the elevator, and it goes ding, going down.
Yeah, Final Destination.
Yeah.
If you're completely on top of the thing and the thing goes down, there's either fall and die, or I wonder if the fire department has put a rope ladder down to help them with. I mean, even though they're halfway, you put down a rope ladder and you're just climbing up the ladder.
I mean, they're 6'7". Like, I'm sure it's just climb out. I just know in my head, I'm going to be on a TV show in the near future called Dumb Wasted Eye.
All right. It's not the NBA, and this is a lower level team, right? So I'm guessing upper body strength, not something that's stressed. So these are just a bunch of skinny dudes trying to pull their entire weight up out of there. That might have been a struggle and embarrassment.
Let's see. I'm looking at, if you'd have told me this morning I was going to be Googling the Farley Dickinson basketball roster, I'd have called you bananas. 616-363-62, 676-561-66, 6264-6658, 616-4-610.
So the majority of these players are between my height and your height.
Yeah, I'd say they probably average 6'4", 6'5".
No. There was a couple really tall ones, but you're going 6'1", 6'3", 6'1", 6'3". I mean, it's
either way.
Could you pull yourself up out of an elevator right now if you had to halfway? I'm not sure I could.
I'm going to go with it depends on how long I was in the elevator and how panicked I'm getting. Like, I'm not claustrophobic. It's fine. Whatever.
I mean, do you have the upper body strength to pull your own weight up?
If you kept me in an elevator for a couple of hours.
So adrenaline spike would get you up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like right now, do I think I could no, I can't do a pull-up right now.
Right. And that's what you would have to do. Although depending, you might be able to grip things in a way.
I think reasonably the way I'm getting out is I am sliding down to the floor below me, not climbing up to the floor above me. Right. But if I'm in there for 4 or 5 hours.
But if you do that, I mean, aren't you like going under the elevator and the open shaft?
No, because it's the door's still lined up with the floor below. It's just you got to slide out. There's a little, and then you're going to fall down like 2 feet to the next floor.
Yeah, I'm going above. I ain't taking a chance.
Here's the only problem that I would have. My cell phone battery's toast in like an hour, because I'm on Twitter distracting myself the whole time. I don't think the panic sets in. This is going to be so super millennial of me.
Forget that. I'm going full on Facebook Live inside the elevator.
What's up, guys? It's Lonzo. I'm here, trapped in an elevator, coming to you live from the first and second floor. Smash that like button.
While we're here, we're going to talk about our favorite colors and trees, and because we have a captured audience, they can't go anywhere. This might be the last thing you say to your friends and family. What's your favorite color?
I would hate that so much. I would hate that so much. The only thing worse than being trapped in the elevator would be trapped in the elevator with the guy who decides this is a great time to Facebook Live. This is a great time to stream.
I'm definitely doing it. I mean, because there's a good chance I'm stuck in an elevator with people I really want to annoy. So I'm going to do that, especially if I see someone panicking.
Oh, can I tell you what I did the other day? The lady friend works in she works at a place that there are heavy numbers of the general public on a daily basis, right? And every now and then I go visit her, I bring her some flowers or we go have lunch or whatever. And so I went to go see her about a week ago. And there was 2 girls doing a TikTok in the, I'll say, lobby of this place that she worked. And so they're doing this thing in front of the elevator, in front of the escalator at her job. And they're like the camera's facing back towards them with the escalator in the background. So I just kept, every time they started, walking in the background doing progressively dumber things, just hoping I stumble across it one day. And the best part was,
you mean like Bobby Boucher's mom when he's being
during
the interview? I don't know if you ever noticed, she's in the background doing all kinds of
The first one I did, like I walked by with a magazine, but I was holding it upside down, right? I think the second time I walked backwards through the shot the second time. No, like just dumb stuff. I think if I was trapped in an elevator with a TikToker, that way, I think I'd rather be trapped. If you gave me the opportunity, you can be trapped in an elevator for 5 hours by yourself or 1 hour, but you're with people who won't stop doing TikToks. I think I'd rather take the 5 hours.
No, I'm with the TikTokers. I'm gonna have some fun.
All right. Coming up at this hour of the show, we got a lot of things I want to get to on the radio broadcast. By the way, Farley Dickinson did win that game, in case I didn't mention that. They won it in overtime, 84-82 over Long Island. There's no way those boys were trapped in an elevator and not just riding an adrenaline spike for a couple of hours. No chance. Coming up in this hour of the show, I do want to talk a little NASCAR, as the Daytona 500 is scheduled for Sunday. Whether or not it is run on Sunday, we do not know, as there is a 50% chance of rain around the track on Sunday afternoon. Now, the good news is that chance of rain is decreasing hour by hour. The bad news is it's not decreased to 0 yet. But we will talk some NASCAR. Can we see a repeat champion in Ryan Blaney this year? Is there anybody else that's got something special during this offseason that makes them a good bet? We'll talk about that. Major League Baseball, because yes, you guys gave me permission to do 2 baseball segments a week until baseball goes first pitch in I think 22 days, 3 weeks away from opening day. I want to take a look. This is something I enjoy doing, about Major League Baseball's fantasy rankings of starting pitchers. That's going to be big for the Braves' opportunity to win a World Series this year. Why? I'll tell you, coming up later on in the show. And I do want to revisit in the final hour of the show this Sean Elliott conversation, because I want y'all's opinion on this. Lonzo and I have kicked it back and forth a number of times, but I want your thoughts on it. And we'll take those coming up later on in the show. It's Rob, it's Lonzo, it's you, it's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, dude, stepping away for 45 seconds. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. Attaboy, Kev. Enjoy your Friday off. I think I'm buying WrestleQuest when I get back.
What is WrestleQuest?
It is a D&D style wrestling game, but it's got actual wrestlers in it. But it's like 8-bit graphic style, and it looks very cool. Down.
When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a
Probably 100, Steven. Special editions right now cost about $99, and regular game prices are in the 70s. So probably 100. Not something I would do every week, but if it's a game I've been waiting for about a year and I can get some cool stuff with it.
So I was playing GTA. I'm back on GTA 5 right now, taking a break from Valhalla because I got to the point where I'm getting killed a lot. GTA 5 has been out for like a decade now, and they are still selling DLC. What is the point where you feel like companies are holding stuff back from games because they know they're going to make you buy it later? And like, are we good with that?
I mean, I get it to a degree. I think they only do that probably for the first little bit, but a game that's been out forever, I don't think so.
Like, if you're still cranking out DLC 10 years later, I guess I can appreciate that you're still putting work into the game. But I feel like there's a lot of games over the years that, like, it feels like they don't release the full game. You know what I mean? Like, you're in for the $70 base, but you know you got to come $40 out of pocket to get the full game.
Personalized discounts and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
See, I watched a little bit of a beta playthrough of Skull and Bones, and it looks bare bones. Like, it looks like, first off, Ubisoft did rush that game. This is wild. They signed a deal with the Singaporean government to build a studio there, which I don't understand. But part of the deal was the pirate game had to be based out of Singapore, and it had to be released by a date, and they clearly weren't done with it, but they have to roll it out anyway because it's in their deal. I'm just going to stay on Black Flag, which is, I think, one of the best video games ever made. All right, I want to get to a lot more between here and the end of the show, but I feel like we have to talk about this story, at least tell you the story in case you haven't heard it. Obviously, we had the shooting Wednesday at the end of the Kansas City Super Bowl parade. Kansas City police have now said they believe that the shooting stemmed from a, I don't know what we want to call it, fight, incident between a number of people at the end of the parade, and people have just decided that as the running back for LSU is now arrested for the same thing. Apparently, we solve our discussions in 2024 by shooting each other. Welcome back to the Wild West. Anyway, there was a debate. We had a shooting. One person is dead. 23 more are in the hospital in various stages of injuries. But to me, these are the stories where I feel like it is important to talk about, as Mr. Rogers called them, the helpers. Look for the helpers. Kansas City offensive lineman Trey Smith shared his account of what happened, his story during the shooting. He said, I just remember the security guards ushering us through the doors quickly saying, come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. They said, this is not a joke. It's a life and death situation. Smith told GMA, Good Morning America, that he and Chiefs long snapper James Winchester sheltered in a closet, and Smith credited Winchester for helping keep people calm during the chaotic scene. Smith said there were around 20 plus people hiding in the closet in the aftermath of the shooting, including a child that he sought to comfort. He said, right before I run in there, there's a little kid in front of me. So I just grabbed him and yanked him up and said, you're hopping in here with me, buddy. He said this little boy was with his father. He was a little hysterical. He just panicked. He was scared. He didn't know what was going on. I had the WWE belt the entire parade, and I was thinking, what can I do to help him out? I just handed him the belt and said, hey, buddy, you're the champion. No one is going to hurt you. No one's going to hurt you, man. We got your back. We just started talking about wrestling. Who's your favorite wrestler? What's your favorite wrestling match? Little things like that to take his mind off it. He was looking out the window. He was seeing people reacting, trying to get out of the situation. I'm like, here you go, buddy. This is yours. No one is going to hurt you. You're here with us. You're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. Legend. That's incredible. My dude said, here's the wrestling belt. You're the champ. And he walked this little kid through this event. You know, again, like, I don't think we should not talk about what happened and not talk about why and not talk about solutions so that we can still go to parades and not feel like we've got to be on edge all the time. But I do think it is important to acknowledge guys like Trey Smith, to acknowledge people like the fans who saw these guys, acted, took them down before they could cause more harm and more injury. Trey Smith should be celebrated for stuff like this. Guys like Trey Smith should be celebrated for stuff like this. I'm glad that dude got his moment on camera to tell this story. I'm glad that he gave us something positive to talk about out of an otherwise senseless, needless story. And hey, man, some good came out of it.
In the end, this thing could have been a whole lot worse. I mean, it's bad enough, but it could have been a whole lot worse.
Dramatically. And, you know, I despise we're at a point where the reaction is only one person died. You know what I mean? Like, no people should die at a Super Bowl parade. Just the number should be 0. We should average 0 fatalities per Super Bowl parade. And now we don't. The number will never be an average of 0.
See, I know this sounds like I have a story for everything that happens, but I do. I was at Red, White, and Boom back in, which was the Columbus's version of fireworks for 4th of July. And 2 guys started fighting. And I mean, this is wall-to-wall people in the middle of downtown Columbus. I think there's like 1 million or something. It's a lot of people. And suddenly 2 guys started fighting, and a ring, not really a ring, but a square of people, just a square, everyone moved and it was a square. They're fighting. Suddenly one dude pulled out a gun and shot it into the air. And it took off through the crowd. And I didn't think anything of it. And I know that's weird. Then the crowd just went back together and watched the fireworks, and nothing happened of it. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up, there was a time when people had guns, should not have pulled them out. Dude pulled it out, shot it in the air, but he didn't shoot anybody else. I think now it's more of lack of caring about human life, period. So these things have happened for a long time. That was 40 years ago. But the guy didn't suddenly go, you know what, and then start shooting into the crowd.
Yeah. It's I don't get it, man. And again, if you haven't heard the story out of Baton Rouge, LSU running back Trey Holly has been arrested on 3 felony charges, including 2nd-degree attempted murder. Apparently, Trey Holly, and this was reported yesterday afternoon, Trey Holly and another person had an incident in Farmerville, Louisiana on the night of February 9th. Sheriff Dusty Gates of Union Parish in Farmerville said at least 3 different weapons were discharged, possibly more. Said it began as an argument amongst females at a nearby apartment complex that spilled over to another complex. According to the sheriff's office, the 2 people shot were innocent bystanders, not even involved in the altercation. Both required surgery and are on their way to recovery. As of right now, Holly is suspended from all team activities as the investigation goes on, was picked up yesterday and arrested on charges, including attempted murder. Dude, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get how, we had an argument, I should kill these people. And not just these people, but you get so locked in on an argument, on a fight, that you don't even acknowledge that other people are around. There's a group of people having a fight at a Super Bowl parade. Now 23 people have been shot. One of them killed. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. You know, I love sports, and I love sports being an outlet, and I love sports being a place that we can turn and forget the world, because the world is often a scary, scary place. So I love that we have this outlet where we get to turn our attention to it and pay attention to it and forget all the things that are happening. But as we've said on the show a lot of times, it does not exist in a bubble all to itself. It's not a vacuum. I don't think it can, nor do I think it should be a place where we just get to pretend nothing else is happening. These things bleed over a little bit. And, you know, look, the Super Bowl's in New Orleans next year. The New Orleans Saints are going to win the Super Bowl next year. They're going to be the second team to win a Super Bowl in their own stadium. I'm going to go to New Orleans for the Super Bowl parade. I don't want to have to, when I get there, have my primary thought be, okay, where's my exit if something goes crazy? How do I get my family out of here if something goes crazy? How do we hide? Where do we hide? How do I fight back? Where might this happen from? What's the tactical spots here? I don't want to have to go through that. And now we do. Now we just all do. It's unfortunate. It just is. So anyway, I do think it is important, while we do have those conversations, in those moments, I also think it is important to acknowledge and elevate guys like Trey Smith. I think it is important to acknowledge and elevate people who, in this situation, in a situation where your adrenaline is spiked, your fight or flight evolutionary response is at full caveman mode, and you're in a spot where you are being told by law enforcement authorities, get in the closet and hide, this is a life or death situation. My man saw a kid and went, I got to make him the priority. I got to focus on this kid. I got to get this kid through this moment. Not my kid, just some kid that happens to be in the area. Those are the people we should be talking about. Those are the people that should be elevated. Those are the people that should have their name said on the news, not the people who commit the atrocity, these people. So good on Trey Smith. My man said, I saw a kid. I asked him, who's your favorite wrestler and what's your favorite wrestling match? And got his mind out. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Good on Trey
I know
Smith.
it's unimportant, but I am curious if they ever said what his favorite wrestler was.
I love it. I do.
I'm going to go with Cody. I think his favorite wrestler was Cody.
Whoa. Elimination Chamber's next weekend, right? Not tomorrow?
Yeah, next weekend.
Also, 5:00 in the morning. You waking up for that?
No, but here's the thing.
No.
Here's the thing, though. It'll be over by the time I get up, and I can actually watch the whole thing on Peacock. It should be available.
Yeah.
We'll find out, but it should be.
I think in that spot, though, you almost have to watch it immediately. I can't get on Twitter until I watch
getting
it.
up that early is unheard of. I don't think I could ever do that, get up that early for anything.
Yeah. I think at that point, I think I'm turning it on before I get out of the bed. You know what I mean? I'm watching it.
If I wake up and go, oh man, it's 5. Why am I not sleeping in? Oh yeah, WWE's on. Then I'm going back to sleep. So no, I will watch it later.
Fair enough. All right. 844-326-3663, 844-FAN-FONE. Texter said, is there a wrestler named Nash? I think he said that's who he picked. I mean, not now, but if this kid went Kevin Nash, this kid is awesome. Big Daddy Diesel. Love that. Love that. Like I said, Trey Smith, in situations like this, Trey Smith's the guy we talk about. And Trey Smith's the only guy we should talk about.
I just thought of. You think Diesel took his name from Kevin Nash? You think secretly
That's my headcanon now.
Secretly, he's a wrestling guy.
Yep, that's my
And
headcanon now.
And not only that, he's a Wolfpack guy, and he's got the red NWO shirts at home.
In my mind, that's 100% what happened, and I'll never take it back. Hey, speaking of dorks,
By the way,
appreciate
make
this.
sure you ask him later. He'll deny it, but look at his face if they're streaming and see what kind of face he makes.
Yep. I need you guys to text the show and go, Diesel, I think it's awesome you took your nickname from a professional wrestler. Let's see where that goes. Real quick before we go to a break. Ryan McGee from Marty McGee on ESPN. Two of my favorite people. I met Ryan McGee at the Galactic Empire, which is a Star Wars themed metal band last year in Spartanburg. Super nice guy. Sat and talked to Keegan and I for like 5 minutes after the show. Super cool guy. He just started an ESPN-backed Star Wars podcast that you can pick up called Never Tell Me the Odds. And reigning, defending, undisputed NASCAR champion Ryan Blaney is his driver now. Why did he bring Ryan Blaney on? Because apparently, Lonzo, Ryan Blaney has a Darth Vader tattoo that he considers his good luck tat as he gets ready for the 500 this weekend. I didn't need a new favorite driver, but I have one.
Where's it at?
I don't know. I got to listen to the pod now. You don't think I'm not listening to a NASCAR / Star Wars podcast on the way? You know, every now and then I have to tell myself, like, hey, it's okay that I'm a giant dork who also does sports. Now I feel better about it. I really do.
Plus, that guy took your number, so he can
did.
be on that.
I need to text him
Yeah,
again.
you do.
He texted me once. He's like, yeah, I'll come on. And then he texted me back. It's like, scheduling issue. Let's reschedule. And I haven't gotten back with him yet. I need to get Ryan McGee on the show. Texter said, Diesel isn't his real name. Now you're going to tell me that Lonzo has a last name. He does. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
No.
But he does.
Let's not be ridiculous.
It's real. It's a real thing. It's on his business card. He has business cards. He's a real person.
Don't say that way. He has business cards.
He has business cards.
Dude, I don't know why I have business cards. They just gave them to me.
We got to run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I want to talk. Oh, man, you guys are going to love this. Baseball. Because pitchers and catchers have reported in Major League Baseball. And speaking of pitchers, I want to talk about it. Because pitching is the one thing that makes the Braves a question mark, to me, to be a better team than the Dodgers in the National League. I said that on national radio yesterday. I'll say it on local radio when we come back. It's Rob and Lonzo and you and the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. There was a GoFundMe for Lisa Lopez Galvin, who was the radio DJ who was killed at the shooting. They put it up asking for $75,000 to cover the funeral and her family's expenses. And the first two donations were two $50,000 donations from Taylor Swift.
That's cool.
That is cool. She's a G, man.
Took some effort to type boo that way, Keegan. I appreciate it. I don't get the Pedro thing. I don't. Everybody else I'm fine with. especially Johnny Storm. I'm good with that. As a Stranger Things fan, I'm down with that, but I don't get to Pedro Pascal. I don't not like him. I love him in The Mandalorian, and hated him in Wonder Woman 1984. So he does good stuff. He does bad stuff. I just don't get him as Reed Richards, but we'll see. I'm not worried about the effects. Also, I want to see how they fit together as a unit. I mean, is there chemistry, especially between he and the actress playing Sue Storm? I think that's really important. And since they haven't got Fantastic Four right yet, I mean, we'll see. It's also going to come down to the villain, and right now they're acting like it's a Galactus, and I don't know if and everyone wants to see Doctor Doom. I know we've already seen him once before, but Doctor Doom's Fantastic Four is most believable villain, I think. If you start with Galactus, it's just, I mean, but again.
Is that who the bad's going to be?
Right now, everything I'm seeing, they're saying Galactus. Galacticus. Okay, I can never say it. The really large dude that
The
eats
big guy
worlds.
with the funny horn.
Yeah, the guy who eats worlds. But it should be Doctor Doom. But again, those are rumors. We do know who the Fantastic Four is now, though, since they announced it. You saw that, right?
Mm-mm.
No, they announced the cast. Yeah, it's out there. And that's what Keegan asked. Pedro Pascal is Mr. Fantastic, and I'm just not sure about that. If you watch Stranger Things and you know who Eddie is, he's the guy who played Metallica on top of the.
Yeah.
He is playing Human Torch, and I'm good with that.
Okay. Vanessa Kirby. Do I know her from anything?
If you look at her picture, she looks familiar.
Yeah.
I didn't look at her IMDb to see what else she's been in. I'll probably research it more for tomorrow, but
she was in the last 2 Mission Impossible movies.
Was she?
Yep.
Who was she in those?
She was in Napoleon, which I'm not going to see.
Yeah,
I'm anti-Napoleon.
Okay.
She was in, I don't know any of the rest of the ones she's in. She was in The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch. Never saw it.
I mean, again, what I was saying is it's going to come down to chemistry. What is the chemistry like between them?
Yeah.
And plus, they haven't got it right yet. So, I mean.
Yeah, she was in Hobbs and Shaw.
Was she?
Yeah. Wrapping up hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. Major League Baseball just around the corner. Pitchers and catchers hath reported. And the Braves are underway down in sunny Florida, getting ready for spring training. Spring games starting up here in less than a week at this point, actually. I think this 22nd are the first spring games. Pretty pumped about that. And so we started looking at pitching ratings, fantasy pitching ratings. And there's a lot of different things that go into the pitching ratings. There is the discussion about schedules, divisions, offensive run support, etc. And I went and I looked at the starting pitching rankings for fantasy. Now, Rob Brown does not play fantasy baseball anymore. I'm not anti-fantasy baseball, so that we're clear. I am, to the chagrin of many, including some of the people I work for, anti-fantasy football. I actively dislike it at this point. Fantasy baseball, I'm not anti-fantasy baseball. I just don't play it predominantly because it takes too much time for me. But if you love it, have at it. I'm not anti it. But I do think that it is important to pay attention to. I think it's important to follow because I think, and I've talked about this angle with gambling before. To me, it is important to look at the numbers coming out of Vegas because I think it can give you a pretty good indication of the progression or regression of your football team or basketball or baseball or whatever sport we're talking about here. But I think it can give you a pretty good indication as to the direction of your team because it is the one place that has a vested interest in being right without a bias. Vegas is not a fan of anybody. They're a fan of making money. And I've told you guys in the past, that is my approach to radio. I'm not on anybody's team. I'm on team make money. Get rich or die trying. Get rich or work a lot trying, I guess is more accurate than the 50-cent version for me. Anyway, I went and looked up the pitching rankings. And Atlanta, as it stands, has one pitcher inside of what most fantasy baseball ranking lists consider the top tier. That's Spencer Strider. They have another inside of the top 10, and that is Max Fried. You drop down a little bit before you start seeing more Atlanta pitchers showing up, and most of them are considered in the 5th or lower tier of available starting pitching across the league. Now, that's not shocking. There's a lot of baseball teams with a lot of pitchers on those baseball teams. So basically, in the land of fantasy baseball, Atlanta has 2 pitchers in the top 10, and you got to go all the way down to number 53. And I'm looking specifically at pitcherlist.com. This is the rankings that I found that I like the best. And again, it takes a lot into consideration. It takes schedule, it takes division, it takes offensive firepower around them. It takes a lot of different factors into consideration, which is part of the reason that I find them important. Because it's not just about how good this guy is. It's about how good this guy is with all the other variables that are going on when he's pitching. It is one thing to have a great pitcher. It's another thing to have a great pitcher that I know is great for 7 innings unless he's not getting any run support, and then it changes the game. Or unless he's great except for he's playing in a division that's got 3 teams full of juggernauts on it. 3 all-star lineups around him that he's going to have to face more than other pitchers in the game. And that is why I am interested in this. Spencer Strider ranked inside the top 10. Max Fried ranked inside the top 10. And then you're all the way down to almost 60 before you find Uncle Charlie for Atlanta. So what does this say about Atlanta? Well, I was on BetMGM tonight. And BetMGM tonight last night asked me about Atlanta. They asked me about the Dodgers. In fact, Ryan Horvat asked me if I had to put money down today on a Super Bowl matchup, what would my bet be? And I said there are 2 teams that jump off the page at me. The first is out of the American League. It's the Baltimore Orioles. I love that team. Baltimore will be next year what Arizona was this year. Baltimore next year is going to be something special because they had already built a very, very good lineup of young foundational players. Because they are young foundational players, they're not getting paid $1 billion a pop, which means Baltimore's got a lot of room to improve and still add free agents and make some trade moves as we get to the deadline midway through the season. And they've got a new ownership group. Their old ownership has gotten out of the way. They're gone. That was the ownership that, as the team got better, jacked up the prices and threatened the Orioles fans with relocating the team, which they weren't ever going to do, predominantly to scare them into more profit. You guys come buy our overpriced tickets, our overpriced merch, buy the overpriced beer in the overpriced stadium, or else Camden Yards, one of the most historic ballparks in Major League Baseball, is going to be vacated. We'll go somewhere else where they will spend the money. It's awful ownership. Awful. So those guys are gone. They put together an investment group that includes Cal Ripken Jr., by the way, Orioles legend, that immediately came in and started spending money, immediately came in and started picking up players, immediately came in and already looked like a better group than the folks that owned them previously. I think Baltimore out of the American League is scary. Ryan said, give me your National League World Series participant, but it can't be the Dodgers, who are like 3-1 to win the NL this year. I said, deal, Atlanta. It's Atlanta. Now, I am a Braves fan, but as I just said a few minutes ago, the great equalizer for me is when I'm on the radio, I don't have on a fan cap. I have on one of those green accountant's visors. I'm team whoever's going to make me richest when I'm on the radio. And obviously around here, that is Atlanta. I think they've got the deepest fan base in the area. But even if I put that aside, we talked last week in one of our 2 baseball segments about the Braves lineup this year. 1 through 9, there are 7 people who have made an all-star game within the last 2 years. You understand how ridiculous that is? 1 through 9, and all but 2 players have made an all-star game in the last couple of years. That's ridiculous. And then I put that up against LA. LA signed Shohei Ohtani. But I feel like, for whatever reason, I feel like there's a lot of people that are forgetting that Shohei Ohtani cannot pitch this year. He's a DH only. So I asked Ryan and Nick on BetMGM tonight last night, I said, let me ask you a question. Genuinely, is the difference between a World Series team and a real good National League team only the DH spot? Can a DH elevate a team? A DH to me can be worth 7 to 14 wins. If they're legendary. And Shohei Ohtani is one of the best hitters in baseball. Not a doubt, not a debate. Well, let's say Shohei Ohtani as the DH can get you, let's say 10 wins. Let's average it. Let's say he's worth 10 wins. He's worth 10 RBIs that win a game. Does that make them far and away the favorites to win the National League? The answer is no. But I'll tell you why I'm glad that LA is 3-1 NL favorites. I'm glad because to me, it takes the pressure off of Atlanta. I think last year, the problem for the ATL, aside from injuries to the starting rotation, was when they got into the playoffs as the winningest team in Major League Baseball. When they got into the playoffs and they went up against Philly, the team that bumped them in the NLDS the year before, I think there was already a lot of pressure. Can't let that happen again. We can't do that again. We can't get bumped by Philly for a second year in a row. And the pressure was so high. And this is what concerns me for this year, too. I'd be lying to say it doesn't. The pressure was high and Atlanta just didn't respond to it. Now, if they end up squaring off with Philly in the NLDS again this year, yeah, the pressure's going to be right back on them because you damn sure can't get bounced 3 years ago, 3 years in a row by a divisional rival. That's a real bad look. That's where you start to go, are we just cursed? Do we need to blow this version up because it's just not going to get it done? Which is too bad because Atlanta has right now put together, I think, the strongest lineup Atlanta maybe ever has had. I thought last year's team was better than the World Series team. I think this year's team is better than that. And sure, there are question marks. I don't know how good Jared Kelenick's going to be. I think he's got a ceiling. Cody Decker agrees. I think he's got a ceiling that is through the roof. It's a terrible setup, but you get it. I don't know how good he's going to be in left field.
You tried really hard.
I really did. I walked myself into a corner and tried to get out of it, and there was no coming back from that. I think that this lineup is better than last year's. I thought last year's was better than the one that won the World Series. But what was the difference between the World Series team and last year's team? No pressure. Going into the playoffs the year we won the World Series, the Braves were not expected to win the World Series. Hell, they weren't expected to be in the World Series, to be honest with you. They were just kind of expected to be there and, to be around it. But they got it done. Last year, they were expected to win a World Series, or at least be in it, or at least compete for it. All the pressure was on them, and they just did not respond. So I look at the team this year, and I go, all right, you've improved the talent. And here's the thing. You're not the NL favorite this year. All right, you're second. You're still up there. But that pressure to me to perform or call it a failure. I think there's very few teams that are in this top tier echelon zone. There's a very short list of teams that are in that anything less than a trophy is a failure type situation. I think Kansas City is kind of one of those teams, right? If anything but a Lombardi, and I feel like a lot of Chiefs fans are going to feel like it was a failure of a season. I think the Dodgers have placed themselves in that upper echelon. I don't know. Honestly, Boston maybe? Outside of Boston, not even Boston's a question mark. I don't think the NBA has a team that's in that anything less than a trophy is a bust of a season mentality.
Not right now, they don't.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
I mean, there were moments in time where you could have said that when the Lakers or Boston, as you just said, or the Bulls. I mean, I think it's easier to have a little bit of a dynasty in basketball than anywhere else. But we haven't seen one of those in a while.
I think there might be, across all professional American sports, there might be 3 teams that are in that anything less than a trophy is an abject failure.
Well, you could go that way with college football with a couple, especially Alabama.
Sure. I think in professional sports, let's say 3. I think Kansas City's in that group. I think the Dodgers are in that group. I don't even think the Braves are in that group as of right now. I don't. So to me, having that taken off of them, which I think that pressure was on them last year. And then they failed in the NLDS. And let's be real, against a good Philly team, still when that game when that series got lost by Atlanta, it was the talk of the NLDS. It was more of the talk than the Dodgers getting beat by the Diamondbacks. And maybe that's just because we're in the Southeast. We're in Braves country. But that got talked about more than the Dodgers loss. And I think that was in large part because we're used to the Dodgers dodgering their way out of a playoff series that they're heavy favorites in. Atlanta was not a heavy favorite. They were like minus 115, minus 120 to beat Philly. The Dodgers were like minus 250 to beat Arizona. But that pressure's off this year. Everybody is looking at LA as the uncrowned kings. This season is nothing more than a coronation for the Dodgers. And I think the Braves are better without the pressure on them of win a trophy or be labeled as failures. And I'm glad to see it. We'll see how it plays out. Joy B said, Braves lineup is better in 5 of 9 spots. Catcher, third base, shortstop, right field, center field. Dodgers lineup is better in 3, second base, left, and DH. And the 1 spot is a push. I agree with that. Freddie and Matt Olson level. I'd go position by position and absolutely agree with that. 5 out of 9 is a majority. And I would even say I could maybe make the argument that I could come up with a 6th if I needed to. But we'll see. I'm just glad the pressure's off for Atlanta this year. Now, the pressure is on for Lonzo because this is the last sports flash of the week. And you always want to go out on the highest of notes to build momentum through a weekend to come back champions on Tuesday. Lonzo, show the people how it's done.
Thought about stuttering out of the blocks just to get it over with, but I'll wait till later on. History was made last night in Iowa City, and it took less than 3 minutes. Caitlin Clark opened with a layup off the tip and followed it up with a 3 from the left side, and then another from the same spot, but deeper. When the ball found net, Carver Hawkeye Arena went crazy as Clark became the NCAA's all-time points leader on the women's side. Clark would go on to finish with 49 on the night and a career total of 3,569. It was Clark's 4th career game with more than 45 points. Next up, the all-time scoring record held by Pete Maravich. Clark needs 99 more for that mark. There's a major change coming in Major League Baseball. Yesterday, League Commissioner Rob Manfred said his current term will be his last. He will be retiring in 2029, which is closer than you think. Tune in Sunday at 1:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Chattanooga right here on the Fan.
Yeah, so I don't know if I want Bauer, man. Like there's still some pitchers available if you've decided pitcher's the way to go. Let's see who's still left out there. There's a few still left out there. So he signed. Yamamoto is signed. Aaron Nola is working on his extension. Blake Snell's still out there. Honestly, I'd rather go get Blake Snell. I think Jordan Montgomery's still available. I'd rather have him.
Mario?
Oh, yeah, I got to send him a link. Good call. That's why Lonzo's in charge of everything.
20% off everything you need for spring. 20% off tees, jeans, and shoes. Even select bedding, bags, storage, and more. Wait, for real? For how long? 4 days. That's the name of the sale. Target's 4-day sale. Ah, the 4-day sale. Count me in for sure. Don't miss Target's 4-day sale. Ends Monday. Restrictions apply. See Target.com for details.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile.
That's fair.
Call quickgrainger.com.
I'm very glad I don't have to worry about money in sports. All right, headline. Inside small Mexican town where joint human alien experimental lab lies underground.
Yeah, where'd you expect it to be? I mean, that's a good spot for it.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for ya.
Don't. Damn. I was going for the perfect week. Ah, blew it. like a 28-3 lead. Unbelievable. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The final hour of the show, the final hour of the week, of the long weekend begins now. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. How do you do, Upstate South Carolina? Hello, America. What up, world? Great to be with you on a Friday AM turning in to a good one. We got a weekend lined up. We got the NBA All-Star Game this weekend, the Genesis Invitational underway, and the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it doesn't rain down in the Great American Speedway's vicinity, and we can run that on Sunday, not on Monday. But if it runs on Monday, I don't care because I'm off.
Big Daddy.
Real good, Corey. Thanks for asking, big dog. Ladies and gentlemen, I was doing good. Now I'm doing great because joining us on the stream, as he does on Fridays, to keep us up to date with all things National Basketball Association as we do head into the All-Star break. He is a BetQL insider. He is the executive producer of Bet for the Cycle, the best gambling show in America, if you ask my and Cody Decker's moms. He is hating ass Mario. Mario Heron joins us here on the show. What's up, fella?
Rob, I can't tell you how much better I'm doing today knowing that I don't have to eat 75 chicken nuggets tomorrow. Like that, I feel like such a completely different human being knowing that I don't have to do that. That makes me excited for the weekend. Makes me excited for everything, excited for the little things. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm ready to go.
How long did it take you to feel normal again?
Till 4 o'clock the next day. And I felt like hungover, but I didn't drink. It was just from the nuggets. Like I literally felt like I was just hungover from the nuggets. It was miserable. It was the worst thing. How long did it take you?
I literally woke up and ate king cake for breakfast the next morning.
You're a different beast.
Yeah.
You're a different beast.
As I told Zoe, I liked last weekend because, listen, you're a scrawny little punk. Deck is still an elite caliber athlete, like shows up to do the show with his baby Gap extra schmedium shirt on because he's got the arms to do it and the tats and all that. Last Saturday was the show where Rob Brown got to be the elite athlete. Like I was the guy on Saturday. Although you did knock out the 75 before I did, I also had to do the show. I felt good. I didn't eat anything for dinner that night. But I woke up the next day and was eating king cake for breakfast. Like I was a champion, man.
It's called sturdy style. When you've been sturdy for a while,
yeah,
you know how to handle those sort of things. So yeah,
75 nuggets, or as I call it, Tuesday.
I will say the best part about it is I stayed at my buddy's place up in a suburb in Chicago the next day. They had I think it's called a budea. Bidet, is that how you say it?
A bidet, yes.
Yes.
Lonzo Jr. It's a bidet.
Yes, we've had discussions about the bidet here on this program. So
okay, but love thoughts because I got to try it for the first time after 75 chicken nuggets.
Oh, I'm team bidet.
I am full steam ahead, team bidet.
All right, you guys aren't selling me on this. Squirting water up there just doesn't. It
doesn't go up, dude. It's not like it's like penetrating.
Well, where's it go then?
It's a surface area spray. It's like a cleansing spray. It's not like you're plugging a garden hose.
All right,
to it.
so all those movies lie because it looks like it's like a straight up stream coming straight up.
It's not like somebody's put like a sprinkler head up there. It's like a nice little cleansing
is it
spray.
Is it?
You can move it too. You can move it up and down.
How do you move it?
It's got a little nozzle on it.
No, you got to stick your hand down there.
No, it's got like a little thing. It's like in that case it is, like an oscillating garden sprinkler. It's kind of like that, but like a mini one.
Listen, I get all this, but it's down there. And so you would have to stick your hands down there to move it, right?
No, it's kind of a little thing on the side.
Oh, okay.
It's
Kind of like
panel.
When you recline.
It's like being a pantsless Captain Kirk. Yeah. You got the little control panel off to your side.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's weird how that made sense to me.
I will say I had an issue, Lonzo, with I didn't know how to turn it off. So I sat there for an extra 5 minutes of just water going up and down there. I was like, I don't know what to do here.
Incredible. By the way, we have already gotten 2 texts from people going #Team Bidet. Dude, I'm telling you, you just got to try it and you'll be hooked. It's a game changer.
I guess I don't hang in places where that's the norm. So I mean,
bro, you can buy them on Amazon. They just clip right onto your toilet seat.
No, thank you.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's going to change the game.
The,
for
the,
the better.
the compound does not need a bidet.
Mario joining the show. It is NBA All-Star Weekend. Let's start with this, dude. I love gimmicks in sports, right? Like I like when leagues, I love the Field of Dreams game for MLB. I love the Clash at the Coliseum for NASCAR. I'm not saying it needs to be something that like becomes the norm, but to step out of line every now and then and do something different to grab some attention and to refresh people's love of whatever sport we're talking about is good. That being said, dude, I can't wait to see what this LED court looks like in the skills competition and during the game this weekend.
Oh, I am so excited. Look, well, one, it's in my hometown, Indianapolis. Best host city in America. Like, there other cities have a lot of good stuff. Best host city. I swear it's Indianapolis, especially. Hey, basketball was born in Massachusetts, but was raised in Indiana, baby.
Dog, we just did the Super Bowl in Vegas. New Orleans has it next year. I can come up with 5 better host cities off the top of my head, brother.
Okay, but here's my thing where I'll throw right back at you. When it's in Indianapolis, you feel it. In those bigger cities, you won't feel the Super Bowl being there. Like you won't feel like that's my point. So that I think that, and everything's close, like everything's good. You private, everyone's nice to you. It's the little things.
Look, I get that you're an Indy homer. I respect.
By the way,
that
I've
you're an
heard
Indy
some big
homer.
names saying their favorite spot was Indy for all that stuff. I'm not trying to take a side.
Listen, I know you long-haired weirdos are going to stick together. I respect.
There's
that.
only one weirdo here. There's only one oddball, and he's right over there.
You're just all right. To the core, because you're never convincing me Indy's better than NOLA or Vegas or New York. Well, I would say New York City, but they do the Super Bowl in they do games in New Jersey. But talk to me. I just love the idea of the court. And to be honest with you, I kind of hope like long term it makes its way into the regular NBA. I think it would be cool to, instead of having to rely on the Jumbotron, if like during timeouts, you could put the stat sheet on the court. So everybody, I think it's a great idea.
I think it's something great to test out, and I'm excited for it because I don't think the whole all-star draft thing has really like panned out for them. Like I really don't like that. I'm big upon of just going back to East versus West. Do 1 year where they don't get all-star jerseys, they just wear the regular jerseys like it's 2001 or whatever year that was. I'm a big part of that. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Steph versus Sabrina. I think it's a very fun wrinkle just to throw in there. I thought of this last night. I was like, could you imagine if they did that with like Wembanyama and Caitlin Clark next year? Like two people that are supposed to be the next rising stars in both leagues, kind of to lead the whole next level. I don't know if it's shooting because, Victor's not the best shooter yet, but, it's some type of challenge, some type of fun thing you can do there. I'm excited for that. I'm a big part of the three-point contest. Look who we have in a three-point contest. Like, we're not getting just the corner shooter, they're in there for 5 seconds and then they hide on defense guys. We get the big name guys that do that. I'm excited for it. Dunk contest hasn't been the same for a little bit, but that could be better. But when you're in the host city of America,
All right.
a lot can go right.
All right. Calm down. I will say this. I'm glad to see Jason Tatum getting in the dunk contest. Like one of the few changes I would make the All-Stars do you can't make anybody do anything, but make the All-Stars do the All-Star skills challenges. Like it's always weird to me when we go dunk contest and they're like, all right, next up on the dunk contest, it's the 4th string backup shooting guard for the team that nobody cares. Like, make the All-Stars do it, damn it.
Yeah, like Mac McClung, like granted, did a great job, like he won and everything, but like he was like G League the whole time. Like everyone was like, oh wait, who? Yeah, like I agree with you. Like, just like, hey, just do something fun. Like, you get to pick it, just do something fun. And it sucked. Like, remember when LeBron kept teasing, like, he would do the dunk contest? That was the most, when people want to talk about the LeBron versus MJ debate, I like to bring that up just if one, piss people off, but two, it pissed me off.
I will say this. I do like the way they have set up the skills contest where Indy's got a team representing the Pacers. You've got a team made up of the most recent top overall picks with Banchero, Edwards, and Wembanyama, or Anthony Edwards with the Timberwolves and Victor Wembanyama. And then you have just 3 All-Stars in Scotty Barnes, Tyrese Maxey, and Trae Young. And by the way, Trae Young should not have been an alternate pick. Trae Young should have just been an outright All-Star this year. Yes or no?
So, and I've gone through this over and over again with so many different people. And I'll say this before anything. I think in the NBA right now, more than any other league, NFL, MLB, NHL, it is so hard to pick all-stars because the league is flooded with talent. Like absolutely flooded. It's the same thing when we do all-pro. Not all-pro. First team, second team, third team. Like it is so hard. And the sport of basketball is positionless now. Like it just is. It really is. You look at leader in stats on NBA.com. Luka is a forward and a guard. Like just to put in perspective, like how confusing it is to kind of pinpoint where guys should be for the All-Star for first team and second team and third team. That being said, he is having a hell of a year. He's having an absolute hell of a year. His team, not too much. I think that's what kind of dinged him is that his team just wasn't really looking good. And I think that plays kind of a factor in there. And Atlanta's not the biggest market for that. For your answer, Rob, because we're friends, because we ate 75 chicken nuggets together, I'll say yes, I'll give it to you, but I'll just refer to what a politician would do and ask a question and just take it a whole different direction. And that it's just so much talent in the NBA. It's incredibly hard to go, all right, this person's the best. And it's just the position list is just, it's a headache.
We're talking with Mario Heron, BetQL Insider, talks NBA with us on Fridays. This story about Golden State reaching out to the Lakers about LeBron to come over, and then you start getting the reports that it was Draymond Green trying to facilitate it, and maybe Bron was receptive, but then his agent said that he wasn't, but Golden State, like, what did you make out of that whole story? Because the takeaway that I got out of it was that Golden State realized they're done. They're cooked, right? Like Klay going to the bench, Draymond just being an idiot over and over and over again. It feels like Golden State was a failed dynasty. Coulda, shoulda, woulda been. Never really got to that level where we're like, okay, that's a dynasty now. And this was a desperation Hail Mary to try to make something happen at the deadline. It doesn't go through. Does it say anything to you about Golden State? Does it say anything to you about LeBron?
The first thing that popped out to me right ahead was that, and you hinted at it, that Rich Paul was the one that said, yeah, this is trade's a no-go. Not the GM of the Lakers, not Rob Pelinka, not Dunleavy, not Buss, Rich Paul. And I was like, all right, that just really shows how powerful this man is in the NBA, that this trade fell apart because of literally of them, not, the GMs couldn't get an agreement. I think what it says to the Warriors is I truly don't understand the direction they're going in. When you trade for LeBron, let's say you want LeBron, you're doing exactly what you shouldn't do right now as a Warriors, and that's getting older. Like, you get older, and what you'd have to give up. So you'd have to probably send Kuminga. You'd have to send him over. TJD, I'm not, like, that big of a fan of TJD. Like, I think he's very rough around the edges. He's an okay defender, but still, you have to send young talent back to LA, which would make zero sense and set you back even further when Klay is done, when Draymond is looking done. And, overall, you're just wasting Curry's time, and he's giving you everything he can when he's, 33, 34 years old? Like, that to me is just a complete waste of time. Like, get younger. You got to stop getting older. It's not working anymore. On the Lakers side, I think we saw a glimpse of that LeBron, I think, is going to be a Laker for the rest of his career. That's what that told me. He's like, all right, LeBron's going to be a Laker. He's not leaving LA. He clearly has a lot of pull in LA, clearly has a lot of control that he really likes. And people don't remember, like, in Cleveland, they butted heads because he wanted to trade the first overall pick or second overall pick, whatever it was. And they said no. And that was a big thing that, kind of pissed him off. So he clearly has all the control he wants. He lives in LA, so he loves that. And he can get all of his boys that he wants, and they can go get his son, and he can tell him, I want to play with Bronny Jr., and they can go and get Bronny Jr. It tells me the Warriors are being stupid, trying to get older when, hey, just get younger and just let the dynasty die. Like, just let it die. And it tells me that LeBron is happy going, yeah, I have the keys to the owner's office, GM's office, the janitor's office. I got keys everywhere. So you're not getting in this stadium without me.
I'm glad you brought up the Bronny thing, because that was the initial thought that I had, because not only does it, it almost gives LeBron control of the Lakers draft next year, right? Like, you go get my kid, or I'm going to go wherever he ends up getting drafted. And it allows him to set up Bronny as the future of the Lakers too. I mean, and listen, I don't have an issue with that. You've earned that ability by being LeBron James. it does kind of to me say the Lakers are in a tough spot because while LeBron is still an all-star and while he is getting all-star appearance number 20 and while he is still one of the better players in the league, the dude's also going to be 40 midway through next season. And I don't know how long you can keep hooking the franchise to this guy. It kind of, to me, this whole thing and the fact that it was LeBron that shut this down allegedly and not the Lakers kind of makes me look at the Lakers and be like, you guys are kind of pushovers, and it feels like it might set you up to be failures in the long term in order to make LeBron happy in the short term. Because, yeah, fine, you're getting Bronny James, but Bronny James is Bronny James Jr., not LeBron James Part 2.
And, like, how many times in the NBA have we seen players that get too much control and it just doesn't really work out? Like, most of them, right? Like there's a reason why a GM's hired. There's a reason why a head coach is hired. There's a reason why the players play. Like, it's because everyone is specialized in their own role. Giannis was playing GM with the Bucks this summer. Guess what? He didn't want Nick Nurse. I bet you want him now.
Yeah.
You know? Like, the trades away Drew Holiday, their defense falls apart. I bet you want Holiday now. Dame's, offense is fine, but defense, he's a fart. Don't tell anyone that. And then you look at Kevin Durant with the Nets. He wanted Steve Nash. Well, that was a whole debacle. He wanted Kyrie. That was a whole debacle. And then next thing you know, he's sitting there going, well, you guys just didn't make very smart moves. And they're like, what do you mean, man? We were listening from you. Like, we were copying off you for this test, and we got a C+. Like, what's going on? It doesn't work. You got to be really, really careful with it. And if that's one thing I want to praise Steph Curry for, by the way, is that he always kind of let Bob Myers and the Golden State kind of do their thing, and that he kind of goes, look, I'll just play basketball here. And, it ended up working out for them. But it's the lesson to the whole NBA is have your stars input, but don't let them run the organization.
Mario Herron from BetQL joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. We talk NBA ball. All right, Mario, before we get out of here, second half of the NBA season gets fired up. No, I mean, we're past half, but you get it. That's how the numbers work. Second portion of the NBA season gets fired up next week. Right now, East and West, give me one surprise and one failure from both sides.
All right, so one surprise would be the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm really happy you brought that up because everyone was going on this New York rant. Look how good New York is. Jalen Brunson's MVP. That's all I kept hearing, and everyone can shut up about that. Because no one was talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers and everything they were doing. They started this win streak of winning 17 of the last 20 without Garland and Mobley. So you lose your rim protector. I know Allen, but Mobley's a better rim protector. And you lose your second scorer, and they kept winning. And then in that span, too, by the way, they're third in offensive rating, first in defensive rating, first in net rating. They will be more of a threat than the Knicks. They will be more threat of a Bucks. Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs is very, very scary. They have a lot of defenders to throw at you. They have very good shooting. They're going to be a surprise team to kind of just watch out for. I would throw Miami. I want to say Miami Heat right away because their odds are pretty low, but it's also Miami Heat. Heat culture turns on, so it's not really that big of a surprise. So I'll leave you with that. Disappointment. It's going to be the Bucks. It's going to be the Bucks, and it's solely because that defense side of the basketball and thinking that Doc Rivers is going to fix everything. He said yesterday half the guys were in Morocco, half the guys were there tonight. That's good. And then he said before that he wouldn't wish this job on anyone. That's good. Keep saying dumb stuff into the media, Doc. It's really going to work for you. So that's my Eastern Conference. Western Conference, my disappointment team that I think is going to fall a little bit. Timberwolves. I keep hearing stuff about the Timberwolves that makes me a little worried. There's starting someone that covers the Timberwolves, and they were saying Gobert has to touch the ball every possession or he throws a fit. And I was like, well, I could see that in the late minutes of the game when you see him against the Chicago Bulls, for example. I could see that where Gobert was screaming for the basketball, and Anthony Edwards is like, this is clutch moments. Why would you touch the ball? I'm the best player on the floor. So that gives me a little shock. I think that team's going to fall apart a little bit. Surpriser in the West, it's the Los Angeles Clippers. 110,000% it's the Los Angeles Clippers. I really like them. They turn it on in January. Their first offensive rating, 10th in defensive rating, 3rd in net rating. February, they drop off a little bit in terms of advanced stuff. 7th offensive rating, 12th in net rating, yes. 23rd in defensive rating. But since December 1st, they are 28-7. They're 5th in points per game in that span as well. They're playing absolutely fantastic. Defense needs improvement, but we all know Kawhi's different in the playoffs.
All right, last one. I need it in 10 seconds or left. Pelicans are playoffs, play-in tournament, left out.
Playoffs. You get smacked in the first round.
Shut up. Nobody asked you. That is Mario Heron. He is an NBA insider for the BetQL Network. He is also the executive producer of Bet for the Cycle, which airs noon to 4 on Saturdays on the BetQL Network, hosted by maybe the two most handsome hosts in the entire BetQL game right now, Cody Decker and also me. Mario, you're the man. Talk to you tomorrow, big dog.
See you tomorrow. Thanks for having me. Lonzo, look good.
So do you.
Stop it. Both of you. Right now. I will pull this show over. All right?
No, you
We're
won't.
not doing that.
No, you won't. How are you going to do that? You're over there.
Team Bodeg.
I'm powerless, people. It's Bud Day, Mario. See you tomorrow. Mario Heron from the BetQL Network. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Good stuff, brother. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, pick a day next week. We can get together after a show.
All right, perfect.
All right, man. Shut up, phone. Nobody asked you. All right, guys, taking a quick break. We'll come right back. Don't go anywhere. BRB. my drummer to Rob Brown after 20 wings in a 7-hour car
Yeah,
ride.
no one cares
No one
about
should
their
be
friends
sober.
like that. Come on. It's not. Yeah, that's not how that works. On a long drive, that's a contest. It's not,
You're not wrong.
how long can we go before you have to roll the window down? Crisis averted, by the way. The cat has been found.
Good. Where was it?
She doesn't know.
Okay.
She almost caught a mouse last night, though. Again, she's getting faster.
Yeah.
We both saw it, and she, boom. But it was so fast she couldn't catch it. I just got to believe another week we're going to start seeing some carnage. She's training every day, cutting some tents off every day. Just a matter of time. One of those mice are going to get a little sluggish. They're going to stumble, and that's it.
Just got to
Once she gets that taste.
yeah. Once she tastes blood.
If anything, she's been a deterrent. I haven't seen as many mice. Maybe I should put something to block where its path is so it has to come out further, so she's got a better advantage.
It's all about attack angles. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Thanks to Mario Heron for coming on and talking a little NBA basketball with us here on a Friday.
It's like a before and after. There's a younger version of the hair, and here's the older version.
I am
It's just
terrified when I bring him on because the golden haired boys tag team v Rob Brown is a handicap match. I don't think I can win. And there's not many matches I don't think I can win.
trying to think of our finisher. I can only come up with the hair D, like the 3D, but the hair that doesn't work.
You guys would 100% have like a hair pun based finisher.
It would be the bouffant.
The hairdo you win.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
The hair lock, brother. All right. Mario and Lonzo, the tag team I'm up against every Friday, and it's my own doing.
It's a producer thing. It's proof. If you're a very good producer, you got to have long hair. Shout out to T2, by the way.
T2. Is he still dreadlocked up?
I think it depends on the day.
Okay, fair enough. Can you dreadlock day by day? I thought those were kind of like once they're in, they're in.
I think when you're skilled,
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll give him that. All right. Daytona 500 coming up on Sunday. Fingers crossed. If it doesn't rain, we will find out. Ryan Blaney, your reigning, defending, undisputed NASCAR Cup Series champion.
I have a quick question about Dwayne. When Dwayne starts the race,
Yep.
is he Hill Dwayne or is
Hill Dwayne?
heel as in
Dwayne.
the heel of the story, or is he babyface Rock?
He's going to be. See, I think the beautiful thing about him going Hollywood Rock is that he can half kayfabe, right? Like you and I, when we have wrestlers on the show, my favorite interviews are the ones done with wrestlers who like are good enough to toe the line back and forth. They can answer questions about their life out of kayfabe, but then you talk wrestling and they're in character.
Will he say, "Gentlemen, and all you Cody crybabies,
Yeah.
start your engines"?
Well, remember for a while, Dwayne had his Just Bring It shirt that was the NASCAR logo with his catchphrase inside of it. Like he's a NASCAR guy, which I find interesting. So I don't know. I could absolutely see him doing it. Speaking of, and I can say from sources, and you and I talked about this very briefly. We're working on confirming him on the show. But on February 25th, it is pro wrestling night for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. And they confirmed their guest at that game.
Yeah, I told Cameron about this. He is so geeked.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anyone would be.
Yeah.
As we both are. So many questions.
I I don't know if I have permission to break it yet, but the guys from the team texted me yesterday to let me know. So I'm going to assume that I do here, and I'll apologize later if I need to.
Hey, don't cost us. Don't you cost us.
We're working on that. We're working on scheduling
a possible.
him here on the show.
I mean, we can do it later and play it back.
We're working on scheduling him from the show. There's a possibility that we may have to, and I'm sure we would both be willing to do it. Come in here and record it on Saturday. But there is a possibility that the Greenville Swamp Rabbits guest on February 25th, which is pro wrestling night at a hockey game, people in the house.
Wait, do you have it ready? You could just play that and you know.
Hey, if I'm not supposed to say this on the air, Greenville Swamp Rabbits.
This was on me. My bad.
Our Truth going to be in the house. Our Truth coming to the Ville to go to a little hockey action.
Yeah,
hate that.
I wish he'd be sitting right over there.
I'm working on that.
We would have so much fun.
I'm working on that. Problem is, obviously, that game's on a Sunday. He's going to be getting in on either Sunday morning or Saturday night. But we may be able to get him on a live stream. We're working on it. No promises.
Let's do. I mean, we always break news when we do that, and oh man, what a get that would be.
Yeah, be huge. But he'll be there on the 25th. All right. NASCAR season opens up. Your title contenders to start this season, your favorite, and I love this. You know, ordinarily, like a lot of sports, we were talking baseball earlier. The Dodgers are, depending on what book you looked at, anywhere from 2.5 to 3 to 1 to win Major League Baseball's World Series title this year. The top driver in terms of odds to win the title this year at plus 525 is Kyle Larson. He's longer than 5-1 to win the title this year. That's competition, dude. That's what I want. William Byron plus 625. Denny Hamlin is 8-1, as is NASCAR's most popular driver. Oh, God, if I hear that, I mean, we're going to hear that again. I'm so tired of that. Do you need to remind me that he's NASCAR's most popular? He might be NASCAR's most popular driver because every damn time you talk about him, you remind us that he's NASCAR's most popular driver.
Does that have to do with jersey sales? How many?
It's a fan vote.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a fan vote. Like, I can't dunk on it and say it's wrong because it's a fan vote. But like, we get it, dude. We understand. I got it. Martin Truex Jr. is 9-1 to win this thing. Larson, the preseason favorite, he won the Cup Series championship back in 2021, won 4 races in 2022, and has averaged to be the fastest driver in the Cup Series over the past 3 seasons. It will likely be that he is a playoff guy. William Byron led the Cup Series with 6 wins. Last year had 21 top 10 finishes, the only driver to finish in the top 10 more than 19 times. He and Larson were the only drivers to lead over 1,000 cumulative laps in 2023. Denny Hamlin still looking for his first Cup Series title as he looks to stop being the most accomplished Cup Series driver ever without a title. Elliott looking for a bounce-back season, missed 7 races last year because of a broken leg in a snowboarding accident. Could have made the playoffs despite that layoff last year, but he never got the checkered flag that he needed to get in. Elliott had just 7 top 5 finishes a season ago. Martin Truex cratered in the playoffs last year, but he did score the most points of any driver in the regular season. However, finished 17 or worse in each of the first 5 playoff races before getting bounced. He had 15 top 10 finishes in the first 26 races and then was just falling off a cliff after that. Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, all 11-1. Kyle Busch, 14-1. Brad Keselowski as 14-1 as well. Busch moving over last year to Richard Childress Racing to RCR. Real strong start, real bad finish. 3 wins in the first 15 races, had a summer slump, never rebounded. Keselowski was 8th in the standings in 2023 after a poor first season at Roush Fenway. Enters 2024 on a 2-year winless streak that lasts 98 races. Now, I'm going to give you 4 guys I want you to keep an eye on if you want a long shot, if you want a dark horse. Here's the guys. Tyler Reddick is 16-1. Ross Chastain is 16-1. Chris Buescher is 20-1. Tyler Gibbs is 25-1. I like these guys. Reddick was 6th in 2023. was a boomer bust guy. 10 top 5 finishes, 9 finishes outside of the top 25. Ty Reddick is a dude that 2311 is pouring resources into. This is a guy that they believe is good enough to be an elite driver, to be mentioned up there with the Chase Elliott's of the game. It's just about consistency. And so, and I will acknowledge that part of this is because of the fact that I had a conversation with him. As a matter of fact, at the Greenville Swamp Rabbit game that he was at, NASCAR night a couple of weeks ago. And I've talked very briefly to Tyler Reddick about it. And he said, look, that is the game. That is the game this year. The game this year is 100% about figuring out how do we finish races? How do we stay on top of it? How do we not find ourselves in a spot where we are fighting for fighting to average a 15 finish? And they put a lot of emphasis this offseason. So Tyler Reddick is a dark horse that I very much like. Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, a couple of guys that have gone on some absolute hot streaks. Chastain was a driver who beat Blaney to finish in Phoenix in first place a year ago, has won twice in each of his first 2 seasons with Trackhouse. He's another cat that sometimes you've got to bust a roll. You got to bust a spot to have a team go, we need resources in this guy's camp. We need resources in this guy's camp to really push him to the edge. And I think Chastain's a guy that's been recognized there. Buescher had 3 wins in August last year to make the playoffs. Ended up being one of the most consistent drivers. And then, again, got into the playoffs late in the year and the consistency fell away. These are lessons learned. I like those guys as long shots. And I'll tell you a dude that I am happy. Do I think he's going to do it? No. Do I think he's going to be able to get there? No. But he made the playoff last year. I think he can get you to the 3rd round of the playoffs this year. Bubba Wallace is 40-1. That's long shot. And I will tell you the other thing he's got going for him this year. And I may be reading too much into it. This is the point of an entertainment documentary. But Bubba Wallace is driving for 2311. 2311 has 2 owners. Denny Hamlin, that's where the 11 comes from, his car number, and 23, Michael Jordan. There was a spot in the documentary on Netflix where Michael Jordan's in the picture, and Mike's at the track after the qualifying at, was it Daytona last year? And they asked Mike about, I think Tyler Reddick. And he said, man, you like this guy? You gonna hang out with this guy? And Mike looks in the camera. He's like, not even joking. He's like, yeah, if he wins, right? Mike did not get into this to not win. Mike did not get into this to have the 23 car not in victory lane. They are putting resources into Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is a good driver that I think has been driving on mediocre equipment. I don't think 2011 is Hendrick yet. I don't think it's Roush Fenway yet. But MJ and Denny Hamlin right now are thirsty for dubs. And I think Bubba Wallace can get them a couple. Was in the playoffs last year without a win, yet still made the playoffs. That's impressive. He was racing for his life in that final race before the cut, but he made it in. He's going to get a win this year, maybe 2. He's going to be in the thick. At 40-1, that's a good long shot. Zach asked, and I will answer yes, ladies and gentlemen. Friend of the show, Corey LaJoie, will be in the Daytona 500. He will be starting 29th in the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet, just behind AJ Allmendinger, just ahead of David Reagan. There is a group right around there of racers, man, of racers. Jimmy Johnson, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece, Kaz Grala, who raced in the duels last night. Martin Truex Jr., AJ Allmendinger, Corey LaJoie. LaJoie just ahead of Reagan, Todd Gilliland, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon in 33rd, defending champion Ryan Blaney at 34, Ricky Stenhouse at 35, Kyle Busch 36. Those are all guys that are in that mix and all in their qualifying spots. So yes, there's a group of guys that are going to be around Corey LaJoie who will be racing, and I'm excited to see it. All right. Let's run to our last break of the show. Let's run to our last break of the week. We got to take a break. We got to come back. We'll ask what the X is going on. And then we send y'all out into a 3-day weekend to relax, to rest, to enjoy some NBA, to enjoy some NASCAR racing. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Short break. Come back for a little bit before.
Okay.
We get President's Day off. I don't know. I mean, it's a national holiday, so. I don't have a clue what's going to happen with The Rock and Roman tonight.
I don't either.
You know what? I'm like
totally
that.
Totally good with that.
Yeah.
I agree. Totally agree. Oh, man. I got to leave right after the show. I'm doing a sit-in spot with BetQL. That's pretty exciting. I like being on national radio multiple times a week. Oh, that was quick.
I told you.
Ryan.
I done told you.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. Final segment of the day, final segment of the week, final segment of the day in the week, I guess. I don't know where else I was going with that. The Rob Brown Show carries on. Good to have you guys.
I just saw what you posted or reposted just a few seconds ago.
Did you?
I did.
Did you now?
Yeah.
Glad you did.
That's interesting.
Let's bring it up. Let's talk about it. Why not? Let's have one more dust up before the weekend.
We got a couple minutes.
I'm your Huckleberry. So, former Notre Dame head coach and NFL offensive coordinator Charlie Weis.
I'm surprised. I didn't know he was still around.
No, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Charlie Weis is over Tony Romo. Put him in Camp Zoe. He said, quote, I listened to the end of the game and listened to Tony Romo ruin the moment. Just shut up and let us savor the moment. There are some announcers I really enjoy listening to, but then there are announcers where if I have to listen, I'd rather go to the bathroom and throw up. Sunday was one of the times where I preferred not to listen to the announcers and watch the game. Okay, let's address this.
Yeah.
First off, Charlie, oh, how dramatic could couldn't finish the show without a little Taylor reference.
It is the first one. Where she paid for that. You did.
That's
mention
true. That was off the
earlier.
air.
Yeah.
So little dramatic, Charlie. Little dramatic. I'd rather go to the bathroom and throw up. All right, dude. Cool. Now, I realized something as I
could say something mean, like, Charlie, purging's not the answer. It's dieting, but it's just,
I wasn't going to go there. I think that's a bit dramatic, Charlie. And if there's anybody who appreciates just a wee bit of drama in their life, it's certainly me. But no. Second off, I came to the realization here, and I figured out what it is. Romo is an unpolished broadcaster for sure. Now, should it be polished by now? That's up to you. But he's an unpolished broadcaster. And I think a lot of people don't like that. He is a broadcaster at this point in his career that when you combine the fact that he is an unpolished broadcaster, along with the fact that he is genuinely excited about the game that he's calling, Tony Romo comes across, tell me if this is off base, though. He comes across as a fan. He comes across as a fan. And he comes across as a fan of when people are doing special things on the football on the football field, he wants to highlight them. And because he is an unpolished broadcaster with an exuberance for the game, who is also still a fan, it's not your standard traditional color guy. And I think that's what drives people a little up the wall.
All right, here's my problem with him. I liked him when he first came on, but he's wrong way too much now. And even to the point where he's like, here's what they did. And then they show the replay, and the thing he said happened did not happen. And it's nowhere near it. Happened multiple times during the Super Bowl. It's happened during the playoffs. I don't mind your excitement, your exuberance, whatever words you want to, just be right. At least some of the time. I mean, to the point where I thought it was kind of embarrassing where he would go to it and it wasn't there. And that's he's not seeing the game
go to it
the way he
there
needs to.
As in the X's and O's were
Yes,
bad?
yes. Well, you're going to see the lineman come in and do this, and then they go and they show the play, and that lineman did not do what he said it did. And it happened a couple times to the point that bothers me. Okay, you can be the most annoying person in the world, but at least be accurate when it comes to when they show the replay. At least the thing that you said happened, I want to see it happen, and it hasn't been.
I will say that I have not noticed that all that much, but I will also tell you that during the Super Bowl, I was in a spot where I could not really hear the television that well, so I didn't see that. I'm certainly not saying it didn't happen. I just feel like it's the exuberance that kind of has people pushing back against him.
Word of the day.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Let's exuberantly go into what the first thing that's Xing yo is Stephanie McMahon.
Steph. That would be, I have no doubt, eventually going to be Stephanie Levesque. I would be willing to bet.
Or completely distanced from WWE because Ashley Massaro, I always say her name, best friend said that Steph knew.
Ooh.
Yes, and it's not good.
No, that's actually real bad.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact.
And that she was matter of fact about it in a board meeting.
Yeah,
no sympathy, no nothing, and so I don't know. I don't know what
if that comes out. If that is, and listen, Ashley Massaro has kind of been at the face of this because she had some, I think, claims at the beginning of this whole thing that certainly came across as, at least in some worlds, credible. If she can back that up and that turns out to be accurate and it's proven, Stephanie gotta go. And I would even go so far as to say Paul's gotta go too.
Maybe.
Because there's no way that you're going to convince anybody. Steph knew it was discussed in boardrooms and Paul didn't know. And if that is I'm going to say, I'm not going to say, Zoe, that will end the company because TKO's in it now, but it would end it as you know it. I would not be shocked if you ended up with a rebrand all the way up to the name of the company.
Well, we'll see. So far, it's just her friend saying that. All right, the next thing that's Xing is EA Sports College Football.
It's in the game.
The trailer dropped.
It did. Well, the pre-trailer dropped because yesterday we got a commercial, which was okay. It's pretty good. It was pretty good.
I've seen it. I haven't listened to it, but I've seen it.
It's pretty good. It's got a guy inside the Coliseum, and he's like sewing a uniform that has EA Sports College Football logo on it, and then it shows you within it a couple of the computer models, and there were a bunch of college football references. He's like, from Carolina to California. And then he's like, you guys have been talking about it on Twitter. Let's talk about the big owl in the room. And you're like, oh, it's because he's an elephant. Get it? Is the elephant in the room? It's a big owl. It's not bad. Let me see the trailer, because if it is just a reskin of NCAA 2013 or whatever the last one that came out was,
No, it can't be. It can't be because
it's been a long time.
Because graphically, it's going to look a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to look like Madden.
That's fair.
But with college
That's
players.
probably fair.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is James Laurinaitis.
So
James.
Yes. Where I was going. The son of that guy that was mentioned in story number 1 here on What the X is Going On has been elevated to linebackers coach at Ohio State University. He has been within the program as
Was a great player for Ohio State too.
was a phenomenal player.
So
for the Buckeyes.
Surprised that he didn't follow his dad into professional wrestling, because his dad was a real warrior.
Very happy he didn't follow his dad into professional wrestling now.
Well, that because of ties, I
Yup.
suppose. All right, and the last thing that's Xing is Diablo 4.
I got to tell you, I've never played a Diablo.
All
game.
right.
I know they're excellent games.
You're going to be able to.
Crossover?
Come to Game Pass.
Let's go.
Coming to Game Pass.
Let's go.
March 28th.
You know, the worst thing is they're starting to roll out games like Baldur's Gate 3 that I can't play on Xbox One. I have to upgrade now.
Yo, man, go ahead. You should. The shortage is over. I know you got to come up with the money for
Thank
it,
you.
but unless
It's not even coming to the money. It's I get married in 7 months and I got to pay for it. That's where it's at.
Okay, well,
So it's probably going to be like early 25.
There's a payment plan somewhere where you can pay $5 a month. I'm guessing.
Financing my video game.
You can absolutely do that. They're expensive.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. That's going to do it for the week. Thank you all for being here. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll try again harder next week. Not on Monday, though. We won't be here on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday to do it all over again, but better. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a great rest of your weekend. For Alonzo, I'm Rob. It's the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Yeah!
Well, that bird was coming. Whoa, there it is again. There's a bird right out here.
Yeah, no, I've seen him the last couple of days. I think he's nesting like in the groove above the roof up
Of
there.
that, whatever decorative thing that is, because what's it do? I mean, what does that thing do? I don't know what it's called, but what's it do? Just like the one that's down on the bottom.
Yeah.
It does. You're still getting wet.
Sticks.
You're still getting wet. Actually, you're getting wetter because it's dripping off the thing. And there's no way to avoid it.
Y'all, how did none of y'all told me? How did none of y'all told me?
Why you not told me?
That I had a banner running during this entire show that said the Rob Brown Show starts soon? No, none of y'all wanted to tell me that? Not one of y'all noticed or wanted to tell me that? Disappointed, stream. Disappointed.
Don't blame them for your mistake.
Well, if I don't, then I have to take responsibility.
Blame me because I should have noticed.
Yes.
It's partially my job.
I blame Alonzo. All right, dudes and dudettes, thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. You're spectacular. Tell your friends about us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.